That's right. Now, say my name.
Alex Animal Gilney.
You're goddamn right.
The fourth is number 13.
Holy shnikes.
The winner of the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery and the first overall selection in the 2025 Upper Deck NHL Draft belongs to the New York Islanders.
The New York Islanders have won the NHL Draft Lottery. And that look from Kenny says it all. He had the lucky sweaters behind him.
The New York Islanders are proud to select
And ladies and gentlemen, we're hoping that question is going to be answered sooner than later. It's definitely going to be answered at about 7:05 or 7:10 on Friday night. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey, where this is draft week. You got to love this week, guys. I am your host, Mark Williams. Pumped for this week because it's been incredible. And joined by the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Puckdoku.
We're 2 days away. So, this is going to be a fun night. Check out our mock draft if you weren't a part of that. Definitely check that out. But we had a lot of viewers on for that. Seemed like a pretty big success for us there. This is going to be real interesting. I think some things are going to happen between now and then, and I think maybe even some trades that night.
And of course, the hardworking man from the Hockey News who is pumped for this weekend, Mr. Anthony Larocco.
Yeah, let's do it. Draft's a couple of days, 48 hours away. A lot of rumors circulating. Could end up being a pretty eventful couple of days for the Islanders. So a lot of rumors out there involving them, as well as the rest of the league. So I'm excited to see what transpires here.
And is that actually a couple name that you have down there? It's Hagens.
It's kind of like the movement Islander fans started about, Matthew Schaefer and James Hagens, so they call it Hagens. So if you look at a lot of the Islanders tweets they put out, a lot of people commenting, they're like, "Oh, Hagens, bring home Hagens." So so we'll see what transpires. But yeah, that would be quite.
Well, if Matthew Darsh manages to get that done right out of the gate, you got to be impressed with that. Everybody, always make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Big Apple Hockey, more than just the Rangers and the Islanders. We are talking about everything NHL. And let's get to the A block, where we're going to be talking about the NHL draft and all the buzz that's around it. Not just the New York teams, although one of them, there's a buzz that they're not going to be there in the first round. That's a different story. We'll get to that in a moment. But Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. You can see the white one right behind me and the blue one right here. The A block is, of course, powered by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. And look for all the different coverage we're going to be having on the NHL draft. We have Thomas Hickey coming on this week. We already had Cal Clutterbuck come on. And then Friday night, we're going to be talking hockey for many hours with lots of guests. So everybody come on down. Now, Anthony, Islanders, Matthew Darsh said we're down to a couple of guys. And it looks like there is a consensus. Who are the New York Islanders taking with the first overall selection?
I mean, it's going to be Matthew Schaefer.
Your audio is bad, Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, your audio is cutting out.
It's cutting out badly.
I don't know if it's Wi-Fi or if it's the hold on.
Yeah. It was working just fine a second ago when we were in the green room.
Yeah.
This is riveting radio right now for everybody.
Yeah, seriously.
We swear to you guys, when everything's working fine, it's right there, and then suddenly just this is what life throws at us.
Yeah, I don't understand why. We were fine before we got on. But
Yeah, Anthony, got to unmute.
you're muted, Anth. I think he's fixing some things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, while Anthony's just fixing that, and Anthony's still not muted. Okay. Phil, in the mock draft, you had the Islanders taking Schaefer. Go on to that.
Yeah, I'm subscribing to that.
Oh wait. Oh, Anthony's unmuted.
Is the audio any different now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
So I know it's weird, but I guess the Bluetooth in my earbuds, that's I don't know what that's about, but
But as soon as we went live, what's up with that?
Yeah. I'm gonna, like I said, what I was saying was I think it's gonna be Schaefer. I know that Darsh said that he likes a couple of guys, but I think there's no way that he would not take Matthew Schaefer first overall. I know the Islanders organization and ownership loves the idea of getting James Hagens, which is why I think part of the reason why Darsh is rumored to be looking for another, top 7-ish pick is because they do want to try to bring him home as well. But Schaefer's going to be the first overall pick, and if he can happen to trade up again, take Hagens, that's gravy. But I think it's absolutely going to be Schaefer, and I think everyone would be shocked if it was anybody other than Matthew Schaefer. So, Matthew Schaefer is going to be a New York Islander on Friday night, and certainly a guy who's been compared to some high-end guys in the league. So it looks like he could be a difference maker for the franchise. But they will certainly be adding him, and like I said, if they could somehow make James Hagens happen, I think that would just be kind of like icing on the cake. Listen, Hagens wants to be an Islander. After all these spots he's doing, he's talking about how cool it would be to bring a cup back to Long Island and all this stuff. So I think Darsh is going to try to make it happen, but it's also depending upon the price. I don't think he's going to let a general manager kind of fleece him just because they know he badly wants Hagens. I think if it doesn't make sense, he's not going to do it. But like I said, we'll see what transpires between now and Friday.
And it's going to be interesting because, yes, Hagens has been on this press tour talking about how much he wants to be a New York Islander, but it's an easy sell to every single Islander fan, Anthony, to go, well, this guy's being compared to Kill McCarr. So that's something you might be interested in, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. His skating is high end. I mean, I think it's not exactly McCarr, but he's still a fabulous skater, probably the best skater in the whole entire draft. Adding Schaefer is gonna transform the Islanders into playing faster. He's a guy that if he reaches his ceiling, he's going to be a number one defenseman. So adding him will be huge. And again, if Darsh can make a play for another pick, he will. But as Wicked's saying right here, Hagens must happen, and if it does, and now all of a sudden you're talking, Matthew Schaefer, James Hagens, Cal Ritchie, Cole Eiserman, Danny Nelson. The Islanders suddenly will have built themselves a nice little, group of prospects that are all, have bright futures. So, there's a lot of smoke about Utah maybe trading their pick, and a lot of insiders are saying that this year feels different, where a lot of teams are willing to move their pick. So, I'm very curious to see how it all plays out, but it does certainly seem like the Islanders are going to be expecting to have an active week here.
Anthony, by the way, Phil and I were wondering this both. Since you're sitting in the bar right now, is it stocked or is it still like awaiting everything you have on? Yeah.
Oh, like I said, it took me 3 days to put this thing together. It wasn't certainly wasn't easy, but no, it's not stocked with anything yet. But certainly plan on using it well this summer. That's for sure.
Party at Anthony's.
Well, Phil, you're the one that took Matthew Schaefer first overall when we did the mock draft on Monday. This is just a no-brainer. This is an easy layup, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been saying this for a while. I kept saying the phrase keep it simple, stupid, KISS. So just do it. Just take the guy. Don't overthink it. I mean, even if you can't get James Hagens, you can't trade back up and get him. You know what? It's not meant to be at that point if you can't do it. But take the guy that can really, because honestly, I think a guy like Matthew Schaefer is harder to find than a guy like James Hagens. And that's nothing against Hagens, who I'm very high on. I think he's going to be a solid first-line center in this league. I do. I know that there are people that think because of his size that he might project better as a winger. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think he's better defensively than people give credit for. I think he's a phenomenal skater. I think him and Schaefer are probably two of the top 5 to 6 best skaters in this draft. I think guys like Cullen Potter and Cameron Schmidt are not getting enough love in that regard. Cullen Potter might be the best skater in the entire draft. He's a guy that doesn't get enough love in this draft. I think that he might end up going higher than some think. But yeah, I think Schaefer is just, you got to take the franchise defenseman. Even with the things that he needs to improve on, he's the most polished player in this draft, like right now. And the only reason why I think that he doesn't start with the Islanders is because he missed a lot of time last year due to injury. And I do think that he's going to need to put on some weight, I think, and some muscle mass. I think that he's probably going to at least put on 5 to 10 pounds this summer, which would be good. But you want him at a playing weight of like 215, 220. I think he'll play around 6'3". Maybe if he has another growth spurt, he goes up to 6'4", for all we know. But that's a guy that has unbelievable skating mechanics for for a guy, not only for a guy his size and for a defenseman, but for a player in general. His mechanics are great. But you take him and you worry about the rest afterwards.
Yeah, and look, at the beginning of all this, there really wasn't that consensus. And then as the process went on, you really saw Schaefer sort of pull away, both with the defensive position being a huge factor, and Kel McCarr winning the Norris, his second Norris. That also helps when you're comparing it to him. But also when there's sort of this, where does Hagens fall in our mock draft? We had him going 4th to Utah. This is the reason why it's good that the Islanders are identifying these are the 2 guys that they want. Because then go back up, go get Hagens, and then you set up your franchise. Don't worry about next year, because I know everybody's talking about how great the draft is this year. They're not going for Gavin McKenna next year, and they're likely not to get it. This is a gift opportunity. Take it. Now, I do want to run this possibility by a lot of people, since everybody knows that the Islanders are high on him, and they also know that he wants to go to the Islanders. So I wonder how far he might fall, because after all, we've had like guys that fell and it shocked us in recent years, like Matvei Michkov, or guys that went higher like Beckett Seneca last year, who he was even shocked. So I would wonder, though, if a team selects Hagens with the option or the plan to trade him to the New York Islanders, Anthony.
Yeah.
What do you think? And
I think there's an audio issue with Anthony.
Yeah, and your audio is actually out. What? Yeah. We're getting that issue fixed. Again, this happened. It didn't happen in rehearsal. But
Yeah,
Phil, what
I
do you think
don't
about that
understand
plan?
that.
You,
We
you
were
think that
fine
actually?
in the green room, but
Yeah.
um,
What do you think, Phil? Would that be a plan for a team or GM to trade him and then flip him?
no, I don't think that's getting flipped. I don't see it. So because you'd have to a team would have to deal an equivalent prospect if that pick is getting flipped, it's getting flipped or it's getting traded before the pick is made. If a team goes and makes it, I feel like they're holding on to it at that point. So I I don't see it. I can't recall the last time I saw that, if I've seen it in my lifetime. So I know that the Islanders traded the number 2 pick on draft day before the draft started, and that pick ended up being Jason Spezza, and that was sent to Ottawa in the Alexei Yashin trade. I do know that. Um, I just don't see something like that happening here.
All right. And can you hear us? Can we hear you now?
Anthony? No, his audio. He's
still
going to
having
probably have
trouble.
to back out and come back in or something because
All
his
right.
audio is messed up.
So we're gonna get to that more in 1 second. Phil, other news that came out of the New York sports, the New York hockey markets, as I'm lost for words. The Rangers option their first round draft pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's part of the JT Miller trade. Vancouver flipped that pick, so the Penguins will draft back to back at 11 and 12. Phil, I just kind of jotted this one down. Is this strategic of the Rangers to not draft in this draft, or is it just like the final insult of this season?
Well, I mean, it's obviously strategic. They're doing it for a reason. What the exact reason is, I mean, that remains to be seen. But they sent this pick over for a reason. I didn't think they were going to. I thought the plan would be they're not going to be as bad this upcoming season as they were this year, and they would hold on to the pick this year, make the selection, and then next year they're a better team. Because if you're going to go get Vladislav Gavrikov, the idea is to make the team better. So you're not going to go and or even not just Gavrikov. They're supposedly linked to other players, restricted free agents, JJ Peterka, so on. Obviously, what you're looking to do then at that point is you're looking to get better. You're not looking to get worse. You're not going to be part of the Gavin McKenna lottery, even though that I know that there are a lot of Ranger fans that would love it if they landed Gavin McKenna. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I think he's going to be a hell of a player, but I don't think they're going there. I really don't. So this would tell me that it's either going to be in an offer sheet or it's going to be traded. So they're not turning back. I don't think you can turn back with Igor Shesterkin's contract with JT Miller. You just brought him in. Mika Zibanejad, I don't think they're going to be able to get rid of him at this point. So yeah, they're looking to get better. So that tells me that this 2026 pick is probably going to end up being moved in an effort to make this team better. So where they go with that, I don't know. I really don't know. But they're definitely not reserved to being a Gavin McKenna lottery team. That much I can tell you.
Yeah. And I think it could be something that you lose in an offer sheet. I also think you want that flexibility next year in case if they are contending, or I don't see them contending, but if they are a pretty good team. Also, Phil, we touch on this all the time. You don't bring in Mike Sullivan to rebuild. And that's exactly what's going on with that. And it's there's no chance of doing this to rebuild. what Pittsburgh would do with those 2 picks, to answer MJ Edit's question right here, we had them drafting Jackson Smith, and then they probably draft another guy. Look, you're going to take those picks, and you got to rebuild your teams. Chris T asked a great question right now. Phil and Mark, why do you think it's draft trades in the 2000s and in the top 5 were so much more common? In the 2000s, the Islanders got the 5th overall pick for Kevin Weeks, the 2nd rounder, and Kudrock. I forgot who
Christian
that was.
Kudrock.
Yeah. Why is this unheard of today? I can answer that. Drafting and development matters so much more now, and you have to hit on these first-round picks, and you got to get. And by the way, loving seeing all the people in the chat right now. Thank you, Rich. You gotta get these first round picks to hit while they're on entry level contracts, because if you don't, you end up overpaying for guys, and then you're in salary cap hell.
AKA what the Rangers have done wrong for a very long time.
Yeah, and they've done that wrong forever.
I mean, the problem is also another thing that, to go back to those drafts. A lot of those drafts were brutal. Like if you look at after 91, the next like really good draft or decent draft wasn't until like 2001. Like a lot of the drafts in the mid 90s were meh. You weren't getting great players in a lot of those drafts. 99 was considered one of the worst drafts ever. 98 wasn't great either.
Hold on, I got it up.
2000 was really not that good of a draft. I know the top 2, number 2 and number 3 ended up being, Gaborik and Heatley and Gaborik, but they were not good drafts overall. And 2001 ended up being a decent draft. There were some players that came out of that one. 2002 was not a very good draft. And then 2003 is regarded as one of the best ever. 2004, you had Ovechkin and Malkin at the top. There were some other guys like Mike Green also came from that draft. 2005 ended up being a real great draft. 2006 was decent. 2007, and then 8, 9, 10 was a good draft. Again, not for the Rangers. But those early 90s, early 2000s drafts were really a mixed bag. Not a lot of great players. I know the Sedins went 2 and 3 in 99, but I mean, when you have players that end up like Patrick Stefan at the top of a draft and they end up busting, I mean, it's not good for that year's draft.
All right, Anthony, welcome back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we got you now. Yeah, we can hear you again.
All right. Well, hopefully it stays like that.
All right. Yeah, Anthony. So again, I asked Philk about this. Is this just like the final insult of the Rangers season that your first round draft pick goes to one of your hated rivals?
I don't know if it's an insult. I think it's a matter of, the Rangers feel that like next year's draft is a lot deeper, and they want to keep that pick in the event that something want to go awry again, and they would be in the lottery. They don't want to risk possibly losing out on Gavin McKenna, and also too maybe they feel as though that by trading Keandre Miller they can get another first round pick in this year's draft, and then they feel like that's the best way to go. So. I think it's more strategic than a final insult, to be totally honest with you.
Sure.
But I think granted. With that said, though, I would have thought that they feel they're going to be very competitive again next year, and that next year's pick would be a late first rounder, and they would want to utilize their pick that they had this year. But clearly that wasn't their thinking. I guess, all we could do is wait and see how it transpired. I mean, really won't know if it was a good decision until like a year from now, maybe. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
All right, guys, all the technical issues are behind us, and we're ready to talk more about the NHL draft right now. Phil, actually, Anthony, we lost you for a little bit, so I'll start with you on this one. Who is the most intriguing team at the draft this year?
That's a good question, because I mean, I don't know if there's one team that is really more intriguing than the other. I mean, you have a bunch of teams that are, in position to add some really good players. I mean, Pittsburgh has back-to-back picks. They could theoretically, come away with, 11 and 12. They could possibly get a guy like Radim Merca and, Jackson Smith, or so I think there's a whole host of teams to really look at here. I mean, like a lot of the insiders say this draft feels different. There are a lot of teams willing to trade their picks. So, like they said, Christie's saying the Flyers have a bunch of picks. I think the Predators have multiple first-round picks.
3 of them.
I mean, then there's the Islanders with the first overall pick, and talk about what they might do with getting another first. So. I don't know if I could just pick one team, to be honest with you. I think there's a whole host of teams, and I also think the other part of it is that this draft, probably after maybe the first 13 picks or so, it's not like the deepest or has the most high-end talent. So I think that kind of plays a role in it too. But I think there's a bunch of teams that are looking to shake things up, move down. So yeah, I don't know if I could just pinpoint one. I think there's a bunch of teams that are in position to add a good player. Like, for instance, San Jose's rebuilding. They got some good pieces in, Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini, Sam Dickinson, Quentin Musty. They've had some good pieces, and they're looking down the possibility of adding a Michael Misa to that, or if you believe the recent rumors about, maybe they had Anton Frondella too. So there are a lot of good young teams like that are going to get another really good young player. So yeah, I think this draft is very interesting from the fact that I think there's not really one team that stands out in terms of who's the most intriguing, and that's just my opinion.
All right, Phil, who do you think is the most intriguing team, and do you have one?
I'm with Anthony. I don't have one. I think this draft is intriguing just because of the fact that I think a lot of teams are willing to deal these picks. I could see Nashville taking their two later picks out of the 3 that they have in the first round and making a deal to move up in the first round. Like that could be something that they could end up doing. Philadelphia, I think, has 6 picks. I think Christie, 6 picks in the first 2 rounds. Just had to verify that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's 6 picks in the first 2 rounds for Philly, and they could take those, and they could end up moving up, big time. That could be another team that you're looking at, like, holy shit, like they just made a big move. Oh, yeah, they have. In round 1, they have their pick, Colorado's and Edmonton's, and in round 2, they have their pick, Anaheim's and Calgary's. So I think Anaheim's was part of the Cutter Gauthier trade, if I remember correctly. And then I think the Calgary pick was that the Kuzmenko deal, I guess. But yeah, it's they have picks. The other thing that the Islanders intrigue me, not just because, they have multiple picks, or they have, the first overall pick and everything like that. But what if they somehow make the decision to go take Hagens at 1 overall? Then this entire draft goes into total chaos because everybody's going to have a player that was probably not available, that they didn't think was going to be available originally on their board that's going to be available. And that throws everything into just complete chaos and a frenzy. So that, I mean, watching, I kind of hope it happens just because of that. Mostly, it would be cool to see Hagens, a Long Island kid, playing for the Islanders, but just the sheer chaos it would cause by having Schaefer available too, which I think San Jose absolutely snatches him up. Then at that point, then Chicago takes Misa at 3, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Or if somehow, imagine if Schaefer fell to 3. Like, you know what? You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the 2002 draft. The 2002 draft, everybody was talking about Jay Bouwmeester for like a year or two before that draft, as he was going to be the guy to win number 1 overall. And then that ended up happening, and Columbus went up to number 1, and Columbus took Rick Nash. And the expression on Jay Bouwmeester's face when he wasn't the first overall pick was just, man, a picture could tell you 1,000 words. And that was it that day. So if Hagens ends up being the number 1 overall pick, oh man, the chaos would be so much fun. So that's a very intriguing storyline. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it did, my God, man, that would be cinema.
I have the Islanders number 1, my most intriguing team, because I want to know how they're going to try to pull off getting Hagens. After that, Montreal, who's got, I think it's 3 selections in the first round. They got back-to-back selections in that like Canada group of draft
15,
picks.
16 range, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's another one. Yeah, we were talking about that, where they end up taking a Carbonneau, no relation to Guy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of intrigue in this draft. And by the way, the Rangers losing their draft pick. Do they get back in the first round? You got Nashville with 3 first round draft picks. Daniel Briere has been stockpiling everything he can for Philly. There's a lot. You guys have already said it. Let's move on to the next one. Who is the most NHL-ready player in this draft? Right back to you, Ant.
I think we're having audio issues again.
We're having audio issues again.
Yeah, we can't really hear you, Anthony. Sorry. Yeah.
All
right. Yeah, we're sorry, guys. We're having some audio issues with Anthony.
And it really is funny, Phil, because it wasn't like this in the green room. Phil, who's the most NHL ready player right now?
The most NHL ready player right now. I mean, there's a few. I'm not sure if anyone plays, or if anyone plays this year. If I had to pick one player off the top of my head, maybe Michael Misa. I think that there's a possibility that he plays. I think Anton Frundell has an NHL ready frame. I just don't know if he's ready for the game yet. Porter Martone, I like his size, and he's a good skater for his size. A pretty damn good skater for his size, but I think that he might need a little time too. I don't. Yeah, outside of Misa, it's really tough to see anyone available. I just think that there's a lot of projects in this draft, and that's why I think a lot of teams are like okay with trading these picks away. You know what? I don't know if I necessarily agree there. I think I think Martone is actually a good skater. It's the consistency for me with Martone. There are times where he uses his body well to shield the puck and win races, and maybe knock a player off the puck or get past the defender, but you don't see it enough from Martone. I think his skating is pretty good. Yeah, there's still some more. I think there's maybe a handful of players that don't need to do anything with their skating to improve it. Like that's the way this is. But I do think that I do think Misa's like the one guy that can maybe come in and have an impact. I think that he's like very good in every facet of the game. He understands puck support well. He's a very good forechecker. Like he anticipates the play well. Like he has a very good understanding of where the puck either may or will end up going. I do think that he's a good shooter. His skating is good. He's got decent size. He's around like 6'1", 200 already. Maybe this is his ceiling. Maybe he is like a Patrice Bergeron type, but with a little more offense. Maybe an Anze Kopitar would maybe be a better comparison, just because of the fact that Kopitar is a guy that could give you a point per game and be a Selke winner. Maybe that is his ceiling, but I do think that he's like the one guy to me that really like stands out as he could end up playing next year. And he's going to go to a team where they're going to be able to just give him the minutes, and he's not going to have to worry about, if he needs files. I don't think Martone's skating is a major concern. I don't. I really don't.
Martin skating. Brady Martin.
No, he corrected it with Martone afterwards.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right afterwards he corrected it with Martone. Brady Martin's skating is probably a little more of a concern for me than Porter Martone's is, to be quite honest with you. I watched a lot of tape on both of those guys. I think Martone, I think he gets a knock on his skating. The one thing that I don't like about Martone is that he doesn't apply himself enough consistently. Like he's not assertive enough on a consistent basis. Like there are times where you can see him skating like through a guy and like winning that race, that 50-50 race or that loose puck battle. He doesn't do it enough for me. And I'm not asking him to be Eric Lindros or Milan Lucic or anything like that. I'm not, because that's just not the type of player he is. I don't think he's best served being that type of player. I think Martone needs to shoot the puck a little more. 2, I think he needs to work on his shot a little bit. One thing that Martone does for me that I really like is that he changes the angle on his shot like late. Like he'll wind up and like you're thinking he's going to take a shot, and then he changes like the facing of his blade or the positioning of his stick, and he fools goaltenders that way. That works in junior, but that might not work as well at the next level. So his shot is going to have to improve. He's also got to get rid of the puck a little quicker sometimes, because sometimes he'll try to go and dangle like 4 guys, and you're like, he has an open pass. Like he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, great playmaker. Like there are plays where he'll draw 2 to 3 guys to him, and he'll get that open guy, and you're like, how the hell did he make that pass? Like really. Like he'll come through the middle and he'll make like a drop pass like through his legs that you just did not see coming. And you're like, what the fuck? So it's just great player. I don't think the skating is the concern. I think there are other things with Martone that I would really worry about more than his skating.
All right. Who do you think is the biggest potential reach?
Oh. Now, are we talking an actual like reach, like somebody who's going to be like somebody who's drafted like or should be going lower that ends up getting picked higher?
Exactly.
Or are we talking like the biggest home run, like boom or bust type player? Because I got a couple of answers for you there.
Answer both of those.
The player that,
And because I also got stock up, stock down in a second. So if any of those guys
good one.
fit.
Good one. Wow. I'm gonna go, and I know that he's been picked at like in the middle of the round just because he seems like a safe pick, but I have my concerns about him. Braden Coots.
Okay, yeah.
I think that what is he, a third line center at the next level? What is he any more than that? Like, yeah, I know like the analytics, if you probably look a little deeper into it, he drove a lot of Seattle's offense. I know Radim Murka came into play there. During the middle of the season, came over from the Czech league, and they kind of let him have free reign. And they didn't have a lot of offensive talent around Coots and Murka there, but I just think Coots is a guy that could end up going higher. That should be a lower round pick because he's just a safe pick. Like you're gonna get a player out of him, but I don't know. I like the guy's game. I just think the ceiling is low. The floor is high and the ceiling is low. I really think you're looking at a player that fits into a very tight, specific area of what he could be. And I wouldn't take him very high. I would go, yeah, that was the joke that was made yesterday. But I would take him as a later first round pick. Brady Martin at 4, I think, is also a potential reach there too. I don't think he's going 4. I don't. I think that's a smokescreen. I really do. But yes, that would be a reach. Now, if you want to talk about the biggest home run prospect, like the boom or bust, it's Roger McQueen, hands down. McQueen's a top 5 player on talent in this draft, but the injuries are a concern. He's also got some things to work on with his skating. Like his straight line speed is decent. I think his skating mechanics need work though. But there is a hell of a player there. Like to have a guy that's 6'5" that could dangle and shoot like that. It just, oh man, he's got some of the best hands in the entire draft. He could stick handle and tight, knows how to get through defenders' sticks and skates. I mean, he's really adept at dangling through that triangle, like between the stick and the skates there. I mean, he's great at that. I just think the back injury. I know that people have said, yeah, he's good to go. He'll be 100%. But back injuries are finicky. That could change in like 2-3 years where something happens. Yeah, his edges are good. And again, like I said, yeah, I said not the greatest top end speed. He's decent at top speed. Like when he gets there, he needs to work on his burst. And I think if he can lengthen his strides a little more, I think he'll be a better skater. So yeah, I think that. I think Malcolm Spence is another one, underrated playmaker. I think if all things turn out right, I think Malcolm Spence could be a top 6 forward. And yeah, he's another one that I think is either very, very boom or bust. Like if he busts, he's probably like a 4th liner. But I think if he hits his ceiling, I think he's a legitimate top 6 forward, Malcolm Spence. So,
all right. So who are some guys where their stock is going up and their stock's going down? Give me one player of each.
there's a couple of guys I can think of for stock up. I don't know if I can give you one specifically because I think they both, from what I've heard, their stock is going up for both of them. I'm going to go Jake O'Brien and Jackson Smith for up.
Mhm.
A lot of people are talking about Smith going higher. I have Smith as the second best defenseman in the draft, and I've said time and time again that I don't think the gap between Schaefer and Smith is as far as people think. I think Smith, if Smith works out his like positional awareness and his defensive play, I think he could be just as good as Schaefer at the next level. Like Schaefer is more polished and ready right now, but what Smith could be at his very best, I think is very close to Schaefer because Smith's skating is right there with him. Smith has better hands. Smith has a better shot. And I just think there's more room for offense there. I can definitely see Smith being a very, very good player at the next level. Stock down, that's a tough one. I don't know of anybody that's falling that badly.
We went over it on Monday. Who's the guy? I'm losing my. We packed up so much into my brain that I'm trying to remember everything. The guy with the torn Achilles. That was
Carter Bear.
Yeah, Carter Bear's a guy.
I don't think he's falling though.
Would definitely make people have concerns. But as MJ added to saying, Bear's a beast, and I've seen
Smith hasn't been falling. Smith has been a riser. For all the word that's going out there, he's been a riser. So I don't know where you're hearing that he's falling. If I had to pick a stock down type player or a player that people are maybe expressing some concerns about, maybe Logan Hensler.
Okay.
That would be a guy that I look at, and I think there are some things that need to be worked out with Hensler. I would say, if anything, you're looking at a player that could be a top 4 two-way defenseman. I just think that there's issues with his offense. I don't like. He needs to be better at getting shots on net. Would like to see a little more physical play consistently. I think if he has more confidence with the puck, because like he can make moves and he's got a decent shot. His mobility is good. He can get the puck out of the zone. I mean, he's solid one-on-one and positionally. But Hensler is, I don't know. I just think that there's things with Hensler that I don't know if the offense gets there at the next level. I don't. I think that there's definitely some concerns because, like I said, with Keandre Miller, the thing with him was, we've had that 40-point season, but it's up here. Like for me, I think Hensler's issues are up here too with offense. I think the defense, he's going to be fine. I think he'll be okay. I think he can be a number 4. It just, if the offense is there, maybe he's a 3 or maybe even a 2. Who knows? But I don't think the offense will be there at the next level. I just think that might be a hurdle that's too hard for him to overcome.
Well, we're going to move on to talk about other news that happened. We're working on getting Anthony back in about a few minutes, guys. But so that's the end of our little draft coverage that's right there. Trust me, there's going to be a lot more on that.
Yeah.
But the NHL's got to pack in so much news for us this week, like the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame class was announced. Duncan Keith of the Blackhawks, Zdeno Chara, Alexander McGillney, Joe Thornton, Jennifer Bonnarel, Brianna Decker, the former BU coach Jack Parker, and Danielle Savaggio. Sorry, I mispronounced the first name. I helped building the women's game and doing a great job. Phil, we got to start with the obvious one. Finally, Alexander McGillney was selected. Go ahead.
Yeah, overdue. Long
Yeah.
overdue. I always look at McGillney as one of my biggest what ifs, just because, again, 93 was not going to be replicable. Like, he wasn't going to replicate that. Him and LaFontaine were incredible. I do think that McGillney should have been a guy that should have had more than one 50-goal season after that year. I think that's a guy that should have had multiple 50-goal seasons afterwards. I think he should have been a 600-plus goal scorer and a guy that scored like 1,400 career points. But one of the most talented players I've ever seen. The guy that could just turn it on like that. And when he wanted to, and when he did, it was something to watch. But it's just, it was long, long overdue. And it's not just the NHL Hall of Fame. It is the International Ice Hockey Hall of Fame. So what Alexander McGillney means to international ice hockey, and maybe I get some flack for saying this, but I compare him to Jackie Robinson. And yeah, Jackie Robinson broke down the color barrier, but McGillney broke down the barrier for Europeans. Like, if not for McGillney, I don't think we have the wave of Europeans in the NHL that we do.
Well, Russians specifically.
Yeah, Russians more specifically, but I think Europeans, I think he opened up everything for Europeans in hockey. And his story is just insane. It's insane. Like, he had to defect in the back of a car overnight out of Russia. Like,
Yeah.
what he dealt with was insane. And I'll never forget when Adrian Aucoin tells you that story about McGillney and Keenan. And Mike, you think you friggin' scare me? I defected out of Soviet Russia in the back of a car in the middle of the night. You don't fucking scare me.
Yeah.
And Keenan had nothing to say. Nothing. For a guy that would always get the last word, Keenan had nothing to say about that because he knew it was checkmate. He was done. So for me, Alexander McGillney opened up so much for Russians, so much for Europeans. I mean, internationally, just the resume was there. Like, absolutely there. One of the greatest players to ever come out of Russia. One of the original trailblazers. This is just long, long overdue. So I can't believe it took this long. I mean, he won a gold medal at the 1988 Olympics. I mean, so this is a guy that's won at the highest level. Pretty sure he won the World Juniors on that line with Fedorov and Bure. I mean, this is a guy that just, how the hell did he not make it earlier? Like, what was going on that this guy had to wait this long?
I mean, the only thing I can think of, and I'm double checking these just because I want to make sure. Because, all right, Bure went in 2012. Fedorov went in 2015. Was it Slava Fetisov that was holding this up? Because he was like, at the time, if you ever watched the Red Army documentary, guys, Slava Fetisov was in negotiations to come over to America to play. And even though they were kind of giving him a little bit of the business in Russia, it sounded like it was going to happen. Once McGillney defected, that was all. No, that wasn't going to happen. And first off, by the way, I applaud Lou Lamoriello for drafting him thinking outside the box. And that was young Lou at that. And he did eventually get him to New Jersey. And I believe Fetisov was the last Devil to touch the puck in '94 before Matteau swooped in and intercepted.
No, did Niedermeyer touch it? Because Niedermeyer was the one after Matteau.
I could have sworn the call goes, Fetisov of the Devils plays it into the far corner. Matteau swoops in to intercept. Matteau behind the net, swings in front, he scores. But Phil, let's look at the positive thing for Fetisov real quick. Going on the Russian 5 in 96, 95, 96 with Kozlov, Fedorov, Larionov, and I think Konstantinov.
Yes.
And winning 2 Stanley Cups and certainly cementing his place in hockey history and in hockey lore. But but getting back to the real thing, McGillney, like you said, the story itself, he defected in the back of a car. I forgot what the actual number is. Was it 8 or 10 hours that he had to get there? And I can't imagine being in that enclosed space. But that's how determined he was to come to America. Fedorov, his line mate, would also defect as well. But then you have McGillney's career, 76 goals in 93. Yeah, the broken leg kind of hampered his career for a little bit. But then he really shows that he's still a premier goal scorer in the league, if not the premier goal scorer. And then wins the Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils, where Lou, once again, acquires a guy at the right time. And then that ends up being one of the big factors in the Devils winning the Cup in 2000. And he finished his career, I believe, with Toronto Maple Leafs is where he finished.
No, he went back to Jersey after the
that's right. Yes, he did.
Live lockout.
But this was a long time coming, Phil. And you're right about this. You know what? I think I'll back you a little bit. I'll say that you could argue that he is the Jackie Robinson, definitely of the Russians, because he had to force his way here. It's this, and we're going to get into some of the ramifications of selecting Alexander McGillney, which still just boggles my mind. But I always love the way the Hockey Hall of Fame does it. They usually do players, they got a builders category, they also have media, because we'll get to the rest of the snubs. But let's get to Rich is saying right here, these kids who defected also left their families behind who were in danger from the KGB. Yeah
there was a lot on the line with guys like McGillney. What McGillney did basically opened up a lot of opportunity for a lot of Russians. And I mean, he was an inspiration to other European hockey players as well. So,
and by the way, this is in the time of Gorbachev. Like the most we'll use the word oppressive ruler, or is the head of Russia.
Gorbachev is a saint compared to what's going on over there right now. We'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, God, Khrushchev, that's completely different. But and even going back before that, I'm saying. Phil, let's look at the rest of the class. You got Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, Joe Thornton, obviously Jennifer Botterill, who was fantastic as a women's player. What's a couple names you want to talk about right there?
I mean, Joe Thornton was an obvious one. I think he became the 13th player of all time to score or to record 1,000 assists. And that one was like, okay, like we knew that was coming. Like that was definitely, I know the points per game, because he played like for so long, didn't look as good, but like 1,500 points, 1,100 assists, 430 goals. He won Olympic gold, twice World Cup of Hockey, for 05, 06 Art Ross and Hart, 4-time first team All-Star, class of this year, obviously. Just he did everything. He did everything. Zdeno Chara, another one that's definitely deserving. He was the second European-born captain to captain a team to a Stanley Cup, only behind Nick Lidstrom, who did it in 08 first. But just an amazing player on his own right. Norris winner in 2009 he won the Norris in? I think it was. But just an incredible player, Zdeno Chara. His developmental curve is just it's crazy to look at. It really is, because it looked like when he was an Islander, it looked like he was going to be nothing. And then he goes to Ottawa, and then they just turn. And Jacques Martin, I got to credit him for a lot, because he was a great defensive coach. He did a lot for Zdeno Chara's career.
Well, he was showing signs of it with the Islanders. He showed more signs with Ottawa, but Phil, when he signed as a free agent with the Boston Bruins.
Oh, he got there with Ottawa. He was an all-star in 2004. By that point, he was one of the better young defensemen in the league. But yes, like when he came back from the 05 or the 04-05 lockout, Zdeno Chara was already an established defenseman. Some thought he was going to win the Norris in 05-06 just because of how good Ottawa was and the improvement that they made. But Nick Lidstrom ended up scoring 80 points in 80 games, and you couldn't go away from Nick Lidstrom, the Norris voting at that time. But I mean, there's a guy that watched a little bit of Zdeno Chara early on in his career that's just joined us back. What do you think of Chara getting into the Hall of Fame, bud?
Obviously I'm a fan of it. He started with his career and with the Islanders, and he ended his career with the Islanders. So kind of poetic how that ended up turning out. But what?
No, I'm looking at that comment, Anthony, not you.
Oh no, Rich is talking about the trade, and he's absolutely right about that trade.
Yeah,
he ends up being right, but I don't think at the time it was more. Chara was a player with he was a big lump of clay, if you will, with the Islanders. Like you knew you can make something out of him, you just didn't know what it was going to be. I remember. I'm sorry, Anthony. We're going to get back to your point in 1 second. I remember one Ranger Islander game where Chara put on this outstanding move and roofed it over Mike Richter early on in his career. And it surprised Rosen and Davidson. But the real thing about it is, at that time, Alexei Yashin was such a premier player. You make that trade, you still do it again. It worked out better for Ottawa. I'm sorry, Anthony. Go ahead.
Chara during the prime of his career, he was a freak. I mean, his size, his athletic ability, his reach. I mean, everything. I mean, he was good. He was good offensively. He was just, for a while there, he was kind of like, along with like Nick Lidstrom and stuff, he was like the gold standard of defenseman in the NHL. He was dominant. He was a guy that had a couple of 50-point seasons. Rocket of a shot. Well deserved. I mean, for me, the guy I'm happy finally got in was Alexander Mogilny. Mogilny had been shunned for way too long, and now he's rightfully enshrined in the Hall forever. So I'm glad he got in. I know there's some talk about maybe Carey Price getting in the first year eligibility, but I think that there was no way I would have thought that would have been deserved over a couple of the guys. Patrick Elias. So he's a guy that was kind of talked about. Jim Berenger was mentioning him by being a possibility, but I like the class overall. But again, I'm mostly just really happy that Mogilny finally got in, because he deserved it.
Yeah, and I got to agree with that one. I'm going to just briefly touch on Jack Parker, who was an absolute legend behind the bench. My introduction to Jack Parker was back in '95 when I was researching and writing about Travis Roy. And Jack Parker was both a great coach and a great man. So that's something you read stories about him. He was he was instrumental in Boston hockey. Jennifer Bonnarel, the former Islanders analyst, who was a great player in her own. So there's a lot of good talent that's in there. Let's talk about the ones that are the snubs, guys. And Anthony touched on it right away. Carey Price. Everybody's complaining. Carey Price. Why wasn't he in? It's an absolute travesty that Carey Price wasn't in. Well, for starters, blame the hockey writers, because you only allowed a certain amount of people, and they kept delaying Alexander McGillney. Now they finally put him in. Somebody had to be left off. Bilk?
I didn't get to see the full ballot. I've been trying to find it, and if anybody has the full ballot, I would definitely love to see it.
Well,
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it either. Just figured to highlight that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was actually something that was reported today by Sarah Valley. I was watching it on Daily Faceoff, that the Blues could move on from Cairo and get Noah Dobson in it, or Peterka. I think actually the Dobson thing, that could happen, Anthony.
Ton of smoke on Noah Dobson, and this goes back to, what was it, around February, when there was talk about him, Elias Pettersson. I'm between that back then and now the talk about him being moved. I mean, Elliot Friedman said like he thinks it's 50-50. I think Sarah Valley had yesterday said that he thinks it's a toss-up. Between all that and him apparently asking for this exorbitant amount of money, I have a feeling Dobson's going to get dealt. I do.
Well, we're going to be talking more about that in about a few minutes in the Bar Talk segment. But guys, now that we don't have McGillney getting snubbed, I guess the number one snub is Stan Fischler again.
Yeah. That Matt just said he tagged me, but yeah, I'm not talking about who got in. I'm talking about the actual ballot.
He's talking about who's eligible.
Yeah,
like,
who else was eligible
for
that
this
didn't get
class.
in? Who was on the ballot? Like I don't know who was actually on the ballot. Like, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for who else made it. No, you're good, Matty. I'm trying to. Mark was asking me what snubs. I don't know who else got snubbed.
Well, everybody's going to say Carey Price.
No,
Anthony, you were saying about Stan
I don't think
Fischler?
Carey. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this right now.
Okay.
I don't think Carey Price is a Hall of Famer. I don't, and I know I'll get flack for it from some, especially Canadians fans, who think that, oh, you're a Ranger fan and you're still not over Chris Kreider and us crying about no. I don't think Carey Price is a Hall of Famer because I don't think he had enough great years. I don't. I look at his career. He played. There were 15 years. What were his great years? Okay, so it's his first year. Okay, fine. You know what? He finished fourth in Calder voting, went 24-12-3. His next year, 23-16-10 with a 905 and a 283. It's not a Hall of Fame year.
That's not Hall of Fame.
Then the next year in 2010, 13-20-5, 912, 277. No. Okay, 2011, he wins 38 games, leads the league, 923 save percentage, 235 goals against. Yes. Next year, 26, 28, and 11, 916 into 243. Could go either way with that.
That's 2013, right? That you're on?
No, that was 2012.
Okay.
2013, 21, 13, and 4, 905, 259. It's not a Hall of Fame caliber year for me.
And if I recall correctly, Ottawa roughed him up in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he, again, not the greatest. 2013, 2014, 34, 20, and 5, 927 save, 232 goals, 232 goals against. Yes. 2014-15 was his heart-winning year. Yeah, that was his one Vezina year. 2016, he went 10-2 in 12 games with a 934 and a 206. I'm not going to count that because it's 12 games. Backups play that. Then the next year, 2017, 62 games started, 37, 20, and 5, 923. Yes. Okay. Then the next year, 16, 26, and 7, 9 even save percentage, 311 goals against. Nope. 2019, 918 save percentage, 249, 135. Okay, I'll give you that. And then 2020, 27, 5, and 6, 909, 279. Next year, 25 games, 12, 7, and 5, 901, 264. It's not enough great years for me. It's not. And you could talk about his international stuff too. And that's probably why he'll get in. But I just don't think this is a guy as a Hall of Famer. I don't. I just think that there's a few seasons that really boost him up. And I get it. He was considered one of the best goaltenders in the league for a time, but he could never stay healthy, and he wasn't consistent in the earlier and later parts of his career. Like, you could talk about a five. What does he have? Like a 5-year peak, a 6-year peak, where you're just like, okay, like 2011 through 2016. Like, yeah, it's a 6-year peak where you could say, oh yeah, he was really good, he was great. But in that time, there's a season where he plays only 12 games at the end of that. And then there's, a year where he's like, okay, it's great. 2013 was the year that he was decent. He wasn't great. So within that 6-year peak, there's 4 years that are great. And then there's like one really great year after that in 2017. And then where else are the other great years?
Well,
his rookie year?
Well, exactly that. And again, just to finish this up, I think a lot of people are going to say that it's the international numbers that would really put him over the top and get him in, which is fine. But then you have to have other goaltenders and other players where the international numbers are really good, paging Mike Richter, and get him in, because that's some of the things that are the problems. Anthony, we were talking about Sam Fischler and him not being in. You had
Phil was talking about Carey Price. I went and looked. These were the players that were first year eligible.
Getzlaf will eventually get in.
Those guys.
Brown will not.
I mean,
Dustin Brown, I don't think deserves to be in. I'm sorry.
There was a ton more guys, but these were the only ones that you could maybe make a case for. So
Ryan Getzlaf is definitely going to get in. He's got 1,000 points on a Stanley Cup at the NHL level. But I mean, looking at his international play, he's triple gold.
Yeah,
he's got the Stanley Cup. He's got 2 Olympic gold medals. Oh no, he doesn't have a World Championships gold. Sorry, he's not. He's got a Canada Cup gold. He's got World Junior gold. He's got U18 gold. Like, he's getting, his international resume is going to get him in. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Is Tuukka Rask?
I mean, he's got a cup.
He's got a cup. I don't think he has.
That he didn't win. He won that. He's got the cup, but Thomas was the starter.
He was a backup for that. Yes,
he's got a cup and a Vezina.
He's got a cup and a Vezina. He's got a bronze at the World Juniors in 2006 and a bronze at the Olympics in Sochi in 2014. He's a close call. I think he's really kind of like the Hall of Very Good. I don't think he gets in.
And that's another guy that international play could have put him in.
I don't think Jason Spezza gets in either.
No, I don't think Jason Spezza.
No, I just again, another Hall of Very Good player. His health towards the end of his career really hurt him, because I think if he would have been healthy, he probably could have put up a couple hundred more points, and that would have helped his case. But he's got World Championships gold, silver with the World Juniors in 2002, Spengler Cup gold in 2012, but no Olympics, never made the Olympic teams. I don't think he gets in.
Dustin Brown's not. He's got 2 cups.
No, not even close.
No.
Not even close. Come on, let's be real here.
No, definitely not.
Let's be real. Matt is posting this one. Carey Price, yeah. Keith Kachuk. There's an argument. Olympic silver in Salt Lake. World Cup of Hockey gold in 96. Rod Brindamore should be in. I don't know why he's not in already, but he should be in.
See, I tend to think he might be in that
So-
hall of very good.
Henrik Zetterberg is eligible too. He's on that list. Obviously, he didn't get in this year. Keith Kachuk didn't get in this year, as he's highlighted there. Trying to think of names he didn't include on this that I'm looking. Patrick Marleau is eligible, is not in yet. What about Rick Nash, Bill Guerin?
No Rick Nash, no Bill Guerin.
Vincent Damphus.
Maybe Rick Nash because of the juniors.
But what about Damphus? 1,200 points in 1,378 games.
I gotta say he's a compiler. I mean, you get the guys that are trying to say Ray Whitney should get in, and you stop and go, no.
You know, wow, I didn't realize this, but you know, Brian Bellows was almost he played in 1,188 games and he had 1,022 points. That's not like far off from being a career point per game player. I didn't realize that he was.
Brian Bellows had a great career.
I don't think Elias or Zetterberg get in.
Zetterberg
Zetterberg has
gets
Olympic gold for 2006. Elias was not a part of the 1998 Czech winning team. So
not a lot of people were in the NHL. I mean, it was Yuri Slager,
Bobby Holik,
Jaromir Jagr.
I think Zetterberg will get in.
I don't know about that. I really don't.
I think Elias gets in. I don't know if Zetterberg
gets in. I don't.
I mean, Zetterberg might get in.
Zetterberg is a triple gold club member.
Zetterberg's got the Conn Smythe that he won against Crosby.
Conn Smythe. He never won a Selke, but he was good defensively. He has a cup. Yeah, he has international success.
He was on the gold team in 2006, right?
Yeah, I said that he's a triple gold member. That's the thing for me. Zetterberg, he might. His numbers are close, and he's a triple gold member. And if your numbers are close and you're a triple gold member, that can give you the boost up that you need to get over the hump.
Do you consider Ilya Kovalchuk a Hall of Famer when he becomes eligible? That's a trickier question.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because him going back to the KHL ruined a lot of stats as.
At least for the NHL level. I mean, he was one of the best goal scorers of his time. That was a guy that didn't have a lot of talent around him for most of his career, and he put up some really amazing numbers before he left. Even when he went to Jersey, what was it? Zach Parise, and what else offensively? An aging Patrick Elias, Travis Zajac. Where was the offensive talent around him? I mean,
Urban Nichols.
Compiler for me, and his numbers are boosted by one amazing season in '89.
He's more than a point per game player. He had 1,209 points in 1,127 games.
I get that, but I look at Pierre Turgeon in the same light as I look at a guy like Vinny Damphus and also Bernie Nichols. Were those guys ever really truly considered one of the top 20 players in the game at their time? I know Turgeon had an amazing 92-93 season.
Yeah.
But at that time, just based on name alone and body of work, would you have put Turgeon in the top 20 players in the league at that time? Because I don't think I would have. And I like Turgeon.
He's enshrined in the hall.
No, I know he's in, but I think that what I'm saying is that Nichols just like him, was a player that I never really thought of as a top 20 player in the league at the time.
With all due respect to
Turgeon,
him, I don't either.
Nichols also played a little more of his career in the 80s, where there was, higher scoring. Turgeon was an 87 draft pick. So the majority of his career was in the 90s, and then he went into the dead puck era, which, all things considered, Turgeon put up some great numbers, considering that after 2001, the rest of his career was like really dead puck until the end of the lockout. And by the time he came back at the end of the lockout, he was old, and he was in the twilight of his career. That's what impresses me about Turgeon. I don't see that with Danfu, and I don't see that with Nichols.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, I think Keith Tkachuk should get in. He was one of the premier NHL goal scorers during the dead puck era. But I would put him in. I would not put in John LeClair, though.
There's a longer body of work with Keith Tkachuk than there is with John LeClair, and I liked John LeClair. I hated watching him against the Rangers, but I liked John LeClair a lot. John LeClair, outside of Alex Ovechkin, funny enough, is like really the last player to have back 50 goal seasons. Yeah, and he did from 96 to 98. But the problem is that like LeClair's peak is really from like 94, 95 to like 99, 2000. And it's a 6-year peak. And then after that, it's just not good enough. Like his numbers are similar to Kevin Stevens in that regard. And
all
Kevin
right, guys.
Stevens can get in.
We got a lot more hockey talk coming at you right now. We started the broadcast in Anthony's bar outside, which again, it looked very nice, man. And now let's go to do some NHL bar talk right now.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever had to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back to NHL Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. So confident you're buying around, so I'll have a beer. Oh, dear God, I need a shot. Play along with us down in the comments below. Oh, wait, there was a comment right there. I missed that one. But I missed. Oh, there's the layout talk. All right. So it's almost that it's routine. It has to be in there. So, all right. And of course, guys, check out the mock draft that we did with Rangers Central, Matt and Evan, as a lead up. Oh, even my beloved wife. She says, "Get the hoop."
He's trolling you. I love that.
Oh my goodness. All right. But we got a lot that we're talking about. So grab a drink right now, everybody.
Mark, just make sure that you didn't get pranked by Anthony with any Reggie Miller type things.
See, the good thing is Anthony didn't have the time to do that so far. He's going to try to get there.
Well, he might find the time somehow. So
he'll make the time. All right, guys, a lot of the reports have the New York Rangers targeting Vladislav Gavrikov of the Los Angeles Kings. I think we said before, guys, what was it? The rumors 7 years at $8 million per. Philk, the Rangers will regret signing Gavrikov.
Sorry, I just saw a comment that I'm trying to compose myself because it was ridiculous and it was funny. But I gotta say beer here. I like the player a lot. I just don't like the potential of what that contract could be. No, I don't think he's Trouba 2.0. I think he's a better defensive player. I don't think this is around. I think he'd be the best partner that Adam Fox has, and vice versa. The end of that contract has the potential to be really bad. especially if he gets beat up like blocking shots. Although like shot blocks have kind of gone down for him a little bit, so that's a good thing, I guess. But yeah, long term with the cap going up, it may not be as bad.
I'm so tired of hearing the cap with the cap going up. Keep going.
I mean, that part of it is true though. Like, I mean, 5-6 years down the road, 8 million for him. I mean, if he stays healthy and he's effective, could be decent. I don't think he's worth anything more than like 6.5, to be completely honest with you. But it just the player is good. The player is a need. I have my concerns about that contract. I really do. So I'm gonna say Beer, just because it can be, but I think it's more towards the back end of that contract where you really think that it's a problem.
Anthony, what do you think?
This is tough for me because I think, yeah, he's going to help short term. But like Phil said, I mean, Gavrikov is not an $8 million defenseman. I mean, if you're getting, and I understand with the cap going up, player salaries are going to get elevated. I understand that. It's part of the game. But I feel like if you're a defenseman and you're making $8 million, you should either produce like a lot of points or you should play defensive hot like a Jacob Slavin, who's just a monster defensively.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Gavrikov's not in any of those categories. Don't get me wrong. He's a very solid defenseman. I think I wasn't on the show, but I think, Phil, when you guys were doing a show with Steve, you kind of like a rating where you think Gavrikov is on a cup-winning defense. I believe you said a number 4, where some of the guys said number 2. I agree with you. I think Gavrikov is a real solid number 4 defenseman. But to pay him $8 million to me is just a stretch. I'll go Beer just because I think he's going to help the Rangers in the first couple of years. But I mean, he's also a guy based on his play style, blocking a lot of shots, being physical. His body could break down, and if that happens, I think the contract's going to end up looking real bad. But I hope for Drury's sake he doesn't give him $8 million though. I hope that's incorrect. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Phil, my apologies for stepping on you, but I had to react whenever I hear the cap going up. I'm so tired.
I'll hold on before you go forward. I'm just going to make something clear here. I'm not saying go give Gavrikov $8 million because the cap is going up. Like, let me be clear in saying that, because there's a lot of stuff going around in the chat right now acting like I'm saying that. I'm not. What I'm saying is that it might be an easier pill to swallow because of the fact that the cap will go up in the future. Not that I think that you should just because of that, but if they're going to do it, at least at that point, he's a bit easier to move with the cap going up because he's a lower percentage of the cap.
Agreed. And that's actually where I know you were going with that. I know other people think differently because, hell, we heard about that with Shesterkin. Hey, the cap's going up, so give him the money. No. You just because you have more money to spend doesn't mean you have to spend it.
No, that's why I hate that contract too.
But it's just, it drives me crazy just hearing that. And I'm going over every scenario in my head about how I could justify this deal. If it's 7 years at $8 million per, they're going to be regretting it by year 3. That's how easy that is. I don't see the exact spot for him. Is it going to be taking over for Keandre Miller? Is he going to be up with Fox? Is he going to be good enough to be in those spots in a couple of years? I mean, I don't see Jacob Trouba 2.0. I do see the potential for Wade Redden 2.0. And that's where, look, you might, I know you're bristling, Phil, but this is tailor-made for the Rangers.
All right. Let's
completely different type of defense.
Full stop.
Completely different type, but this is how I could see this. It's that I could see this going defenseman getting up there, not necessarily as old as what Redden was, but the fact that they signed the deal, then he's unproductive, and then the Rangers are stuck with him and don't know what to do with him, and then they're totally screwed. I've seen this with the Rangers too many times. I've seen it too many times.
He's likely going to be next to Fox. Like they're not going to pay him $8 million and bring him in and then put him on a second line. They're going to bring him and put him next to Fox because Fox needs a damn partner.
Okay, but why do you have to? But then what do you do with the rest of the defense?
That's to be determined.
I have trouble with that one. They have to figure out.
Keandre Miller's getting dealt. I imagine if Keandre Miller's getting dealt, they're either getting a pick back and using that pick to go get a different defenseman, or he's part of a hockey trade.
Yeah, probably maybe Bowen Byram, and then you can figure out what your
about Gustav Forsling. Florida has different things going on there that allow them to get these players on AAVs that are just dreams. Gustav Forsling is getting $7 million elsewhere, easy, probably $8 million because he's the guy that's closest to Jacob Slavin in this league right now.
And also, you got to think there might be some gratitude with Gustav Forsling because Florida's the one that gave him the shot. And then
not only that, but he was a reclamation project. He was a complete reclamation project. There's no reason to bring up Forsling. There's no reason to bring up anybody from Florida.
So, yeah, but for me, it's just I look at the contract. I'm going round on this because it's a tailor-made Rangers thing. It's sort of like if a New York Met signs a contract that's big money, you know they're going to suck their first year.
Yes, Byram is more offensive-minded, but you know what? Keandre Miller doesn't know whether he wants to play offense or defense. One day, he can move the puck and looks great doing it. The next day, he looks great defensively. The next day, he looks like shit at both ends. At least I know Bowen Byram's going to give me points.
The next day, he's turning the puck over left and right.
He's a better skater than Fox, too.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go over to the New York Islanders, who they make some headlines. But JG Pageau, I'm fixing this one right here. JG Pageau is getting multiple teams that are interested in him, as well as Noah Dobson requesting reportedly an $11 million AAV, which is absolutely insane. Anthony, both Pageau and Dobson will be dealt by July 1st.
Another makes not a layup. I mean, listen, there's a lot of smoke and talk on both of them. First I'll address Pageau. The center market, very, very, very weak. I mean, Claude Giroux is likely going to re-sign with Ottawa. Tavares probably end up in Toronto. Duchesne already re-signed. There's not many centers out there. Pageau is your prototypical third line center. He's great on draws. He's pesky. He's coming off 42-point season. 1 year left on his deal. I think he certainly has appeal to some teams that are looking for center depth. So the Islanders could take advantage of the lack of quality centers there and get a decent return. And as far as Noah Dobson, I mean, we all seen the reports, everyone talking about him, linking Kyrou, Paterka, using him to trade for a top pick to get Hagens. Asking for $11 million, to me, that's either his way of asking out, or he's or just a negotiating tactic. But either way, if you read the tea leaves here, I think, you know what, I was go beer, but I know Matt. I'm gonna say round. I think Darsh is gonna put his stamp on this team. He's not gonna run back a Luke Orr. And again, I think Pageau, you could get a second and like a mid prospect. And Dobson, you're gonna get back a good player in that deal. You're gonna get back, a young forward, similar age, or you're gonna get a pick and you get Hagens. So I think they're both gone, and if they are, certainly gonna be a lot of fireworks. But with that said, Pageau, I think, could be dealt at any time. I don't think it has to be by Friday, because I think moving him is about cap space, giving Darce some more flexibility in free agency to target a player. Whereas Dobson, I think if he's dealt, that's going to be a draft. That's going to be a draft night move, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going to go round here.
Phil,
Since the word is both, I'm going to say shot. I think there's a possibility one of those guys gets dealt on draft night. I don't think it's both. I don't. I think Pajot, maybe they'll hold on to him and they'll try to build up a market. But I mean, I see people in chat saying that the Islanders are going to get the 7th pick from Boston. I don't see how they do it unless it's Dobson. And if trying to get Dobson, trying to move Dobson for the 4th is something that's happening, then I don't think you're getting the 7th. So, and I don't know what else you're dealing from that roster that's going to make Boston want to give up the 7th pick outside of Dobson. I mean, Dobson for the 7th pick wouldn't be a bad move, but I think Boston wants forward help as opposed to, they need help on defense, but I think they need help at forward more than anything. But yeah, I'll give you this. Don Sweeney is not smart. At the list of general managers that I would put faith in to make the right move in a trade, Don Sweeney would be right near the bottom of them right now. So, yeah, I'm going to say shot here just because I just don't think that both of these guys are moved by July 1st. I think one of them can be moved by draft night, and I think the other one, it's going to happen sometime in July. I don't know when exactly, but I think people might look to JG Pajot as like a depth center option after the market is kind of closed off, if you will. And I think that's when the Islanders can really take advantage and get the best possible offer for Pajot, because they can start playing teams against each other and build up a little bit of a bidding war. I'm not saying it's going to be a tremendous one or anything that's going to get you a haul. We're not talking Paul Gostad 2012 where it gets a first-round pick back in a deal. But I think if Darsh is smart, he waits on Pajot, uses him as like trade bait that after that market closes up, because I think it's going to close up quickly. And I think maybe like the middle, maybe by end of July, I think you see a deal for Pajot. And I think that's when the Islanders can get the best possible return that they can get for him.
I can see both you guys being right here. That's what part of the problem is. I think Dobson could either be dealt before the draft to get a pick, or to go over to get Hagens, or I could see him taking into July, and because of contract negotiations, that's part of it. And everything you guys both outlined with Pajot, he screams day 2 trade, but also he could wait until the market. They could wait until the market like thins out a little bit and then get a sucker out of it. So I have to go beer on this one. I really don't want to. I want to give a more definitive answer for everybody, but there's too many variables that are in here. I'm inclined to say Dobson's the one that gets traded first, though, and I think it's going to happen very soon. Speaking about a guy that might be getting moved yet again, Thomas Hertl. He's getting a lot of interest from the Carolina Hurricanes. So, Phil, Thomas Hertl would move the needle for the Carolina Hurricanes. In just in case if I didn't say it right, Tomas Hertl.
No, you're fine. That's not the worry here. I'm thinking. I mean, they need a second line center so badly, and he can play wing too if necessary. But I'm going to go beer, because I think they do need someone who's a little more of a producer there, but they also need a second line center badly, and he would actually be a really good fit. I like him there. I wonder about how he would fit though. Like Carolina plays a very specific type of game. They like to play off the cycle, and they like to go low to high. And I wonder if he fits that. He's not a complete like off the rush player like Rantanen was. I think he could be a fit. I do. It's second line center is something needed. So I'll go beer here.
All right, Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, he gets 61 points in 73 games. He's still a very good player. In my opinion, maybe makes a tad bit much, but yeah, the Hurricanes need, like I said, they need to change the makeup of their team. Like, they need something to take the next step. It seems like Svechnikov is stalled. I mean, maybe bringing a guy like Hurdle, maybe that could help him out. But the Hurricanes need to do something. I know they're rumored to be interested in Marner, but I don't think Marner wants to play there. And Nikolai Ehlers they've been linked to. Don't get me wrong, very good player, 60-point player, skilled, but I put him in that same type of class as Aho and Jarvis, like smaller players that, while very good, I don't know if he's going to put him over the top. I'm not saying Hurdle will, but, they need that higher quality second line pivot. So it would help move the needle. Like if they added Hurdle and they played the Panthers again, I still don't think they're getting past Florida, but I think they would at least be a little better. So I'll stick with beer.
All right. And I'm going to go shot. I just don't see it. I'm having trouble seeing it. Still trying to be positive about it. I like the player. I even sort of like the fit a little bit. But I mean, realistically, it just seems like such a Carolina move. Then they're going to get better in the regular season. They're going to have a good regular season come playoff time. Hurdle's just not going to produce the way they want to. And, if they're out, hey, you know what? They won a game in the conference finals. So maybe that's one step closer to winning a Stanley Cup. I just don't. I'm not seeing it. I'm having trouble with it. And I think that's just my analysis on it. I can't get behind it. I also don't hate it, but also for Carolina, do something different. This isn't going to be what is going to propel them. It's just another Carolina move, and good for you. You're going to finish well in the regular season. Maybe you might win the division. I don't think anything else will happen after that. Speaking about a team that did win and one that beat the Carolina Hurricanes, Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand were recorded saying they're re-signing with the Panthers. If you guys haven't seen it on Instagram, Bennett was on stage saying, I'm staying. I ain't fucking leaving. 8 more years, everybody chanted. And Brad Marchand just turned around and went, I'm going nowhere. So, Anthony, both Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett are going to stay in Florida.
Well, first, those instances, I mean, while I do believe that they have interest in staying, I also think those are just in the moment celebrating drunk. Like I would imagine, they have maybe a little bit of regret. Their agents probably call them after, like, yeah, I'm banging my head on the wall. Like, what are you doing saying that? You lose leverage. But with that said, I do think that they both might stay. I know that I have Bennett going to Toronto and Marchand staying in my prediction. Flipped around. But
no, that's actually what you had. That's what I had on the thing.
After the last couple of days here and hearing some of the talk, I think there's a real movement where Florida is going to end up keeping them both. So I'm going to say round. I'm going to go round. I think, listen, they just won back-to-back cups. You're playing in South Florida. Weather's perfect. Great organization. No state income tax. I mean, why leave? Why leave? So yeah, I'm I changed my tune here. I think they're both gonna stay. I do.
Phil, are they both staying?
Could see it. I'll say beer for now. Bissonnette made a tweet where he showed a text that he got of, I guess, one of his sources saying that Marchand was going to Toronto for 4 years, $9 million per year, which I don't believe at all. I just think that's very, very high for him. I think if anything, I could see Marchand taking a little bit of a discount to stay. I just wonder about their cap situation. How, does that mean that Ekblad is gone? I don't know. So I'm gonna say beer here. So I think they want to keep both of those guys, and I think Marchand definitely wants to stay. So that's why I'm going to go beer. I just think that the cap might end up being an issue unless Marchand wants to be the Paul Correa of the Correa-Solani duo that ended up going to Colorado prior to the 03-04 season where they took discounts. And Correa took like a pennies on the dollar contract to go to Colorado with Solani. So maybe Marchand ends up being that guy.
Oh boy. Guys, I'm gonna go beer on this. Because if that's true, that means Aaron Ekblad is out because I don't think they could afford all three of them. I think Bennett has to test free agency. So I think that's one thing. Marchand, I don't know if he's going to take pennies on the dollar. And Vilk, oh my goodness, $9 million, 4 years for Marchand. I don't know if that's a good idea. He's 37 years old. Puts him to 37 years old just now. He turned 37 on May 11th. That'll take him to 41. No, you can't sign him to that. Geez. But these guys, and Anthony, you hit it on the head, and you took the words out of my mouth. The persons that gonna be the most annoyed are the agents. If I'm his agent, I'm going, no, you're not. You out of your mind? But you can't just say that because that would just take away leverage. But no, I don't think they're gonna have both of them. It's just not gonna happen. Somebody's gonna balk, and you gotta love midnight drunk contract signings or vows, and I don't think the fans should hold it against these guys if one of them does move on. One guy that looks like he is moving on is Marco Rossi. He has been on the block. He's been requesting a raise to about 6 to 7 million. Philk, Marco Rossi will be traded at the draft.
Wow. Could see it. Don't know if it will happen, but could see it. I'm gonna say beer because I don't. Seems like the market is thinning out on him a little bit. It seemed like there was more interest previously, but it seems like after his contract demands came out, it seemed like a lot of teams you stopped hearing more about his market then. I mean, maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I definitely think he will be dealt. I don't know if it's at the draft. I think this could end up being an off-season hockey deal, maybe. So yeah, I gotta say beer.
Anthony?
Muted.
I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue some of these rounds I'm throwing out here. I'm going to say round. I think, there's reported a lot of teams are willing to move their first. And, this is a 23-year-old center who just had 60 points. If there's a team that's picking maybe in the teens and they see this draft as being a little thin, and they could use that pick to get a player that can help them now, I think that, Marco Rossi would be a guy that plenty of teams would be interested in. One thing I read a couple of days ago is that apparently Minnesota turned down a deal where Vancouver offered like their 15th overall pick and a player for him, and Guerin turned it down. So seeing maybe he gets a better offer than that this weekend, but yeah, I mean, this is a good opportunity to deal him, right? The Wild get a first-round pick in this draft. Maybe they could use that asset to go replace him with. So, I mean, I think that right now would be a good time to move him. It seems like he's destined to be moved, just a matter of when. I just think that the draft could be a very strong place for that to happen.
Once again, with the Dobson situation, you guys are both right. This could be either or. They could either move on from him at the draft, get a draft pick, with all the teams that are moving out, or with the contract negotiations, it could go on way into the summer, which we would need because we're going to need more headlines to talk about. So I got to go beer on this one as well. I mean, funny, Anthony's throwing out rounds and I'm throwing out beers left and right, but it's just, I want to say I could see the situation that he's going into. Again, I'm just having trouble seeing on how Minnesota, who should be really aggressive this offseason in every way, shape, and form, now that the handcuffs are off at a salary cap hell. And, I mean, also with Kirill Kaprizov, if he doesn't sign an extension, what's going to happen there? Then are you retooling? I mean, I don't know what's going to go on in Minnesota. I would hope he would sign there and stay, but I think I'm just shaking my head because I'm trying to figure it out too, guys. So it's got to be a beer.
I feel like Boston just makes too much sense for me.
Right away, I agree.
They have the 7th overall pick. They have a need for a top 6 center. Rossi's a young top 6 center. I think there's room to grow. I think he's a decent two-way guy. He's got good defensive awareness. He could come in and be what Boston needs there. And I get the drawback to him might be that he's small, and they have Patras already, who's small, and they like him, but they're concerned. But I think if Rossi were to go to Boston, and Boston gives up that 7th pick, and Minnesota can go draft another player there, maybe they could get a Hagens. I can't see Hagens falling past 7. I can't. No. I have a hard time seeing it. But even if it's not Hagens, Minnesota could draft a Denoyer. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm not even sure he falls that far. But you could, if he's available, you could take him. I mean, maybe it's even Utah. But you know what, though? I don't know with Utah. For me, I think the big splash that they're going to make is somebody who's a little more of a bigger impact guy who can help now. I know everybody's saying, oh, Marner to Vegas. Telling you right now, they may go throw the bag at Marner. They may go give him a blank check. I really do think that might be more of what they're looking to do because Ryan Smith has money. Telling you right now, there's a guy that's come into the NHL recently as an owner and who has deep pockets and a desire to win and is going to be hands-on, major hands-on. It's going to be Ryan Smith in Utah. Telling you right now, watch out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that's been rumored to be in the mix for Marner, but I think Big Mitch he's going to the bright lights of Vegas, and they're going to have to do
major cap work to make that happen.
They do, but you know them; they're not afraid to make it happen.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I really don't. I think this might be one of those moves where it's going to be a little tougher than it's been in previous years for them because they've got $9 million in cap space as it is. Okay, let's just say they get rid of Tomas Hertl's 6.75. He goes to Carolina or whatever. Do they move William Karlsson? I mean, that's another $5.9 million. I mean, they have a legit 5 right now on defense, and Nick Hagues an RFA, and I would probably move on from him if I were them, because I think Caden Korzak is ready and is better. But you have to replace Tanner Pearson, Victor Olofsson, Brandon Saad, and Riley Smith. So you have 14 forwards that are on their like cap wages page, and 9 of them are under contract. So if you move Hertl to bring in Marner, you're still there, and then you're going to have to probably move somebody else because you're going to have to fill out those other spots somehow.
All right. Well, speaking about teams that have to clear up cap space, and they're going to have to clear up a lot of it soon, the Edmonton Oilers, they just traded Evander Kane to the Vancouver Canucks, opening up $17 million worth of cap space, but that is not accounting for Leon Draisaitl's extension kicking in. That's an extra $5.5 million. And then you got the raise that Evan Bouchard's going to need. So, Anthony, right back to you. Victor Arvidsson is going to be the next Edmonton Oiler to be moved as part of Edmonton's cap clearing crusade. So let's try that one again. Edmonton's cap clearing crusade. And by the way, I heard there's a rumor there's another free agent of theirs that they'd like to sign and get under contract.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go round again here. I mean, he was just mentioned after the trade that Arvidsson specifically, that his $4 million would likely be the next guy that the Oilers used to try to clear. So yeah, I think he's the next man up in terms of who they can move. I mean, they're not moving Hyman. They're not moving the Nuge. They're not going to move Nurse or Ekholm. So who else is really going to move that's going to move the needle? I mean, Connor Brown, no. So yeah, I think Arvidsson's the next logical guy that's making a decent salary that you can move. So yeah, I think he's the next guy out.
Phil?
I'm actually going to say round to this. I don't think it's a layup. I definitely think that he could be the next guy. I think that there's work for them to do with this team, and I just think that he's probably the next man up. Evander Kane is no longer on their cap wages list, which is good there. So their cap is updated to $15,437 as per cap wages. Puckpedia usually those two sites have something different for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he makes a lot of sense to move. Another guy that I can actually see them move, and this is the only reason why I'm saying round as opposed to layup, Adam Henrique.
That was the other guy.
Yeah. He has a no movement clause, but he's got 1 year left on his deal. And I don't think that he would oppose to being waived for it, because he's likely not back after the end of this deal. So yeah, I think that there's a possibility that Adam Henrique is also moved. I know that they want Connor Brown back. They're very happy with him. You got to wonder if they bring back Kasperi Kapanen on a very cheap deal. Connor Brown gave them 30 points this year and 13 goals on a $1 million deal, which really was kind of a prove it. So I think I could see him getting maybe like 1.5. Yeah, I would say round, but I would look out for Adam Henrique as well.
You took my answer. There it goes. There's my round. And that's it. I don't have to say anything. Thanks, Phil. All right. Let's go on to the last one, guys, in bar talk, which is this is the first year of the NHL's decentralized draft. Rumors of them going back to a convention-style draft already after 1 year, and the NHL decentralization of the NHL draft was a mistake. I'll start this one off, guys. Yeah, I thought it was originally, and I thought it was right now. I understand the GMs, they don't want to be flying back immediately, and then you have like 24 hours before free agency starts. The NHL just has to schedule it better, but they also would rather have like their convention at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, whichever one you want to look at it, because the calendar year starts July 1st. It's just no. By the way, no.
Why would you going to give up 4 first-round picks for Evan Bouchard? Because that's how much that offer sheet would be. 4 first-round.
What?
That's
no, Christine, no. That's not balls. That's stupidity.
Yeah, that's stupidity.
And how much better is Evan Bouchard than Adam Fox, if he is at all? Because I
don't think he is. I don't think he's as good defensively. Like I have gone on record of saying where, like, you know, he plays a little lackadaisical sometimes defensively in the regular season, but turns it up when the games like matter. I still don't think he's anywhere near Adam Fox defensively.
I had somebody arguing with on Instagram, and I just kind of said he put Evan Bouchard in the elite tier of defensemen up there with Kel McCarr. I went, move him down. And he's like, no, but he's so money in the playoffs. Yeah, but you got to get to the playoffs. And that's the other thing, too. How much money is he really in the playoffs? Or how much is that feeding off of McDavid and Draisaitl? I hate saying it like that because it discounts him. But absolutely not. I am not going.
Evan Bouchard is not worth 4 first-round.
No, he isn't.
Like,
watch him play defense in the regular season.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're a younger guy, but I would go back and I would look at like historical comparables, because that is not even close to the case.
I mean, I'll give him this, Phil. He's okay to take 4 of the Rangers' first-round draft picks because they have no idea what the hell they're doing. So you could draft anybody. I mean,
here, not the Rangers.
Yeah, but no, he's not worth 4 first-round draft picks. Back to this though. Yeah, no, they want their convention. That's what they want to do, and it was fun going to a draft that wasn't decentralized. Boys, you guys have been to well, Anthony, you got 2 under your belt because you had Vegas last year. What do you think? Was it a mistake to decentralize?
Yeah, and I think the league is already going to revert back. A couple of weeks ago, LeBron did one of his interviews with Daly on The Athletic, and they asked about this, and he basically seemingly said it seems like this might be a one-off. Next year they might go back to the normal format. But at the time, though, like Daly said, that's what the general managers voted for. Now it seems like a lot of them are kind of walking back that decision. So yeah, I think this is going to be the only year that we see this, and that will end up proving that it kind of was a mistake. So but then again, who knows? Once the draft night actually gets here on Friday, if it goes swimmingly, and maybe teams change their mind. But from what I understand, I think next year it's going to go back to the normal format. So because of that, I'm going to say round.
Yeah, I definitely think there's writers that definitely want it to be more of a convention style. Phil, you were in Dallas for the draft. You think it was a mistake to go to a decentralized draft?
I think you know what time it is, Mark.
Oh, it's layup time. All right.
Get the damn hoop, Mark. Get the hoop.
I gotta get the one that actually says get the hoop.
I don't even know why they did this in the first place, but you had a nice event that fans were coming to. I think they need to open it up a little more and have like the teams, and then have some players come with the teams to, be a little more interactive with the fans. I think you can open things up and you can generate more money that way, and you can generate more fanfare and more of a connection with the communities that you're doing this with. So this was a massive, massive mistake.
Well, also they got to be careful. I'm laughing about it, guys, already, but they got to be careful if they're going to bring the players out to connect with the communities. Because as Anthony and I can tell you, Logan Thompson was traded hours before he was supposed to have a signing event in the Sphere.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
So
also, who's with the decentralized draft? Is that like is Gary Bettman going to be announcing every pick then, or is Daly going to be the one to announce every pick? Curious to see how that's going to work.
that's a great question, Anthony, and I think we're going to find out soon.
No one from the teams were there. It's just Bettman and the players, from what I understand. So I would imagine it's going to be Bettman announcing every pick.
That works for Roger Goodell because he's got such a huge ego. I'm not sure if Gary Bettman's about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Gary Bettman does not have an ego.
Crowds for the NFL drafts, though.
Yeah,
like those crowds are ridiculous. Like the one that they just had in Green Bay this past year, they look like concert crowds. Like you look like you're getting a crowd. Like I'm not saying it's Metallica '91 in Moscow like level, but like
or Garth Brooks in Central Park.
I mean, slightly off topic, but still running to the draft. Were you with me in 2009 when the Islanders drafted Tavares at the draft party?
I was, Anthony.
Oh yeah,
I was at the draft party.
I know what Els was, and I was just thinking. I remember the eruption when the Islanders announced Tavares, and I just because UBS's arena, they're doing the draft party again, and
we ended up going to a Hooters like shortly after that. We ended up leaving, so because I think they stopped showing the draft after that.
My point was that reaction was incredible, and on Friday night UBS Arena, if Utah's on the clock, and like Bettman says we have a trade to announce and follows it up with the New York Islanders, the roof is going to blow off the place. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, those are graphics that I'm going to have to come up with very soon. But yeah, this is the NHL actually was starting to make the NHL draft something to go see, and then they decide, let's decentralize. And it was coming down to I get that some teams have to fly and everything else. Like you didn't do your due diligence before then. That's a little bit, I'm just you ruined a good thing. But let's see how it goes. I think it's going to go right back to the old way again. God help them if it works. So, guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. Thanks for gauging your choice on our topics based on your choice of drink. Sorry, I'm a little bit tongue-tied at the moment because I want to say let's move on to Big Apple Hockey Pick'ems. We got a few of them, and most of this is all based on the NHL draft this year. We have a couple other questions in there. First, we'll start with you, Anthony. The Islanders will select more than once in the first round.
Oof. I don't know. I mean, again, Darsh was on. He did a couple of radio spots yesterday, but one of them he was asked about moving up, and he said that he's certainly open to it, and if it makes sense, he'll do it. So, all I can say, I know the Islanders really want Hagens. They like him, but again, it's only going to happen if Darsh feels that a team's not trying to absolutely fleece him, because teams are going to hold that leverage. They'll be like, listen, I know you want the kid from Long Island. I know the kid from Long Island wants to go there, and they're going to try to use that to get the Islanders to overpay. So Darsh, as a new GM, is going to have to weigh making it happen as opposed, or kind of that fine line where he gets it done, but he also doesn't drastically overpay. So it's going to be tough. It also depends on how the rest of the draft board shakes out. For instance, if there's a guy that let's say Nashville's up at 5 and the players available that they really like, maybe they don't consider moving that pick to the Islanders anymore. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that goes into it. But again, with my theme today of going bold, I'm gonna say more. I say they select again in the first round, aside from first overall.
Phil, what do you think? Yes or no?
I'm going to go no.
Because
I just don't see it. I don't see it. I've said it before. I just think it's going to be tough for them to. If they do, I think it's later in the first round. I don't think they're getting up into the top 5 or 10 again. I think Dobson might end up being a deal that maybe it could happen by draft night, but I think it's going to be something that might happen a little. I think it might take a little longer.
There's just I feel it in my bones, or that line from what was it, Eastbound and Down. I feel it in my plums that they're gonna get back up in the first round again, and I think they're gonna try to go for Hagens. If Hagens isn't available, that's a different story. But I think they're gonna try to get both of them and at least get 2 players out of this. Although, by the way, one thing we haven't talked about enough is the rights to Isaac Howard, who also has ties to Matthew Darsh. So if they miss out on Hagens, they might go for a Hobie Baker winner this year. Anthony, right back to you on this one. The Islanders' better first-round selection in their history. Dennis Potvin or Mike Bossy?
Oof. I mean, you're talking one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. You know, if not the best, because you can make an argument for it, or the heartbeat of their team in the dynasty, and one of the better defensemen to ever play. Captain. Oh man, this is not a layup of any kind.
That's why it's a pick 'em.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Bossy just because there are a bunch of teams that passed on him. You know, Billy Smith took a chance on kind of like a scrawny, lanky guy. And you know, he made him, you know, thankful every day that he made that pick and believed in him, because obviously, you know, history wrote itself after that, what Bossy accomplished with the Islanders. So yeah, I mean, listen, if you pick Potvin, I would say I wouldn't even bat my eye. I'd be like, yeah. So I think honestly, it's each his own. You know, whether you value a guy like Potvin, defenseman, or you know, just a pure goal scorer. So yeah, either or, you can't go wrong. But I'll just go Bossy here.
Phil, Bossy or Potvin?
When I made this, I really had to think about this one because it's tough. Bossy's more of a find. Like, he's a later round pick. Certain teams passed over him twice. Rangers.
Yeah. For Lucien
he's one of the
Dubois
greatest goal
and
scorers.
Ron Duguay.
He's the all-time leader in goals per game in a minimum of 700 games played. I think it's like 0.76%. Just ahead of Mario Lemieux, 0.75. I think if anything, Potvin was a clear like one. Like he was an absolute just heart of the team. He beat the crap out of everyone's star players. Just absolutely pummeled them. All-time leader in goals, assists, and points by a defenseman upon his retirement. Like, to me, it's like a wash. If I have to pick one, I guess I'm going to go Bossy, just because he went later in the round and many teams passed on him, but also for the story for me. Like, he guaranteed Bill Torrey that he would score 50 friggin' goals as a rookie. And that's why, like, Torrey was willing to give him that contract. He guaranteed it. And then he set the record that lasted for almost, 20 years when Solani broke it? I mean, 15 years or so, sorry. But, like, just incredible player. So I got to go Bossy.
I'd say Bossy is the better player all time. But if you don't select Dennis Potvin, the New York Islanders are not the New York Islanders. And that's what I'm going to go with on this one. Selecting Potvin really set the tone for their franchise. And yes, Brian Trottier, I believe he was before Bossy too. But I don't have to believe I know that. But Potvin was, I as Anthony said, Potvin was a heartbeat. Better player all time. Bossy's one of the greatest goal scorers. But whoa, hold on. Let's see. Jeff Barrick said, I was told by someone, owner Terry Pagula has signed off trading JJ Peterka if they go in those directions, which we all think they will. Okay. So now the question is where? That's going to be a different story. We'll come back to that one in a moment. First, guys, let's give Phil some trauma. Phil, which Rangers draft would you erase? The 2003 NHL draft where they drafted Hugh Jessamine, the huge specimen, or 2010 when the Rangers drafted Dylan McElrath, also known as the Undertaker, which is fitting because he killed the Rangers franchise. So which one would you take?
It's got to be 2003. I mean, the amount of talent that was available with that pick. I mean, yeah, the names that went after McElrath in 2010 are, yeah, they kind of really, really bad. But like at the same time, that 2003 draft and the players that went after him, the guy that I wanted like first and foremost was Zach Parise, because I was a big North Dakota fan, and watching him there, I knew he was going to be a really good player at the NHL level. I mean, then you have, him, you have Brent Seabrook that went afterwards, Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Ryan Kesler, Mike Richards, like all players that really, really could have helped them.
Corey Perry.
I said Corey Perry.
Yeah. Even in the second round, Shea Weber, Patrice Bergeron, David Backes.
Yeah, like even if you wanted to reach, you could have went for like Bergeron or Weber there. It made no sense either, just because of the fact that they couldn't afford to take a swing with a barren cupboard. They had nothing. Like Jamie Lundmark was pretty much like, it was pretty much determined at that point that you would be lucky to get like a middle six forward out of Jamie Lundmark at that point. Fedor Tootin was probably, Fedor Tootin and Dan Blackburn, but Dan Blackburn wasn't even a prospect anymore at that point.
Yeah.
And then Fedor Tootin was their top guy. Like after that, they had like nothing in the system that was really worthwhile. So, yeah, for me, 2010 was just a knee-jerk reaction to getting bullied by Philly in those last two games, which is kind of reminiscent of 95, which led to them trading Zubov and Nedved for Robitaille and Samuelson. So it's definitely 2003, and it's not even close.
Anthony, which one did you erase?
2003. I mean, that draft is one of the deepest, ever. Matt Talon in that draft. So, yeah. This isn't a question, and I really don't have anything else to add. I mean, Phil named all the players the Rangers passed on. But yeah, I mean, even for me as an Islander fan, them taking Robert Nilsson over Zach Parise hurt, because honestly, a parallel with Hagens in this year's draft, Mark. I mean, Parise's dad played for the Islanders. He wanted to play for the Islanders because of his dad. He thought he was there for the taking, and the Islanders passed up on him. So,
and if I recall correctly, somebody said we don't do legacies.
Yeah, that hurt. But yeah, this is simple. 2003.
It's simple for 2003 because we haven't even mentioned the 7th round players that they passed up. Whether it's the guy that was almost Mr. Irrelevant, I don't know if they actually call him that in the NHL, but Brian Elliott. You had Yaroslav Halak, who would end up playing for the Islanders
Joe
in the
Pavelski.
7th round. Joe Pavelski and Dustin Byfuglien, who also went in the 7th round. That's just the 7th round. Now, the Rangers did pick up Nigel Dawes. Anyway.
Yeah, and then he left. And
then he left in the Derek Morris deal, if I recall correctly, on that one. Phil. Yeah. So it's you sneaky man.
What did he do?
You don't think I didn't see that one, Anthony? All right. Well, guys.
I see what he did. I see what he did.
You know what? Let's just flash this because this is too funny to put up.
This is what Anthony is trying to.
I have to put this up because this is such a good little break. Which one is the more premier goal scorer, Leon Draisaitl or Corey Matthews? It's obviously Austin Matthews. Which is the better premier goal scorer, Leon Draisaitl or Austin Matthews? Not the guy from Boy Meets World.
Phil,
sorry. You know what, Anthony? We'll start with you on this one.
This is tough. Draisaitl has what, four 50-goal seasons now?
Yes.
Thing is, they're also two different type of players too. Yeah, this is. I think this is another toss-up for me. You know what? I'm going to lean slightly towards Austin Matthews just because, Matthews, I mean, Leon Draisaitl has the great one-timer. He's a bigger, powerful guy. He kind of, bullies his way to the net. Great hands. But I feel like Matthews is more like Matthews' wrist shot and his release is, one of the better ones I've seen over the last decade. His wrist shots is just ridiculous. And I think his puck skills with his stick handling wise, I think he's a little bit better too. But again, they're two different type of players. So I think it's more so like kind of like pick which you prefer. But for me, I'm going to lean towards Matthews just a little bit.
Phil, which one are you going to take?
I'm going Matthews, and I'm not even thinking about it. And no disrespect to Draisaitl, but what Matthews is doing, he's on a historical level. Like, people don't understand how good this guy is. After 629 games, he has 401 career goals. He's the 6th fastest player in NHL history to score 400, ahead of Ovechkin, ahead of Draisaitl. He's the 9th player in history to record multiple 60-goal seasons. He's got 2 of them in a span of 3 years, an MVP and a Pearson in the same year in 2022. He's got 3 goal-scoring titles already, and he had 41 in only 52 games in 2021.
Oof.
That's nuts. That's probably another 60-goal season right there. So, for me, it's got to be Matthews. I look at his numbers, and then I look at Draisaitl's. And it took Draisaitl a little longer. It took him until 2018 to have his first 50-goal year. He went from 25 the year before to 50, literally doubled the output. Draisaitl has played 11 years in the league, 10 full seasons. If you want to call 2021 a full season, because he did play the full 56 games that year. And he had 31 that year as opposed to Matthews' 41, which is, again, nuts. But Draisaitl has 1 goal-scoring title, which was this year. Matthews has 3. And the fact that he's outpacing Alexander Ovechkin through his age 27 season is just unfriggin' believable. Like, we're talking about a guy that has the potential right now to score 1,000 goals.
Yep. And that's if he can stay healthy. Phil,
he's healthy, and he's got it.
I kind of find it funny. I'm looking at his stats right now. I'm going to make a comparison to Sammy Sosa in this, because if you look at not Draisaitl, you look at Matthews' numbers. he either scores 40 goals or he scores 60 or 69. And I don't know why Sammy Sosa is coming to mind on this one, guys, because he hit 60 home runs 3 times in his career, and he only led the league in home runs when he hit 50 and 49. So that's just why I was thinking about Sammy Sosa with that. Matthews is he's just got to stay healthy, and the sky's the limit. I would have loved to have seen him play a full season that year that he scored 48 or 51.
Do you want the Ovechkin comparison?
If we could do it quick.
Okay. Through the first 9 seasons, Matthews had 401 in 629 games. Ovechkin had in 679 games 422.
And there you go.
So in 50 less games, Matthews only has 21 less goals over their first 9 seasons. He's outpacing him.
And guys, the last one, take your pick. Which goalie deserves more blame? Stuart Skinner or Frederik Andersen? Anthony, we'll go to you.
Freddie Andersen. I mean, Skinner, the Oilers lost to Florida Panthers, back-to-back champs. I mean, no harm in that. There's the better team. I don't necessarily blame him for that. So that's why I'm gonna go. With Andersen. Which, by the way, I'm gonna add one more. We're not done, by the way.
Okay, we'll add one more.
Yeah.
Phil, which one would you
here
say?
we go. This one's gonna be insane. Anthony's gonna do something absolutely ridiculous.
No, I'm not. You'll see.
But wait, go ahead. Which one you got?
Andersen. I mean, Andersen's been a big reason why Carolina hasn't been able to get over the hump. Skinner has been a reason why you could say that Edmonton hasn't won the Stanley Cup, but I think Andersen's been worse in playoffs, if you ask me.
I think Andersen's been getting a little bit of a bad rap, but he has that soft goal, and the king of the soft goals is Stuart Skinner. But Stuart Skinner kind of showed something the last 2 years, like he could suddenly get hot, and maybe that could be something. I'm gonna go Andersen because I think a lot more is riding on Andersen at the same time as not a lot, if that makes sense. It's because he could go from he had the best save percentage of goals against the first 2 rounds, and then the worst in the last 2 rounds. So that's just kind of where I'm leaning on with that one. Actually, I do like this one. Philk, who is the better insider, Frank Saravalli or Chris Johnston?
Ooh, Anthony didn't go with a troll one.
Oh, but he's got another one right after that.
I got 2. Yeah, we'll finish with those.
Oh God, now one of these is going to be a troll thing that he's going to have.
No, actually, none of trolls.
Keeping with the theme this time of year, figured we'll talk.
Since we target all the insiders,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, I like it.
I would love to do a tournament
of these guys because I think they're both great. I think Saravalli is a little more active, and he's, I think he's a little more engaged with the fans. So I'm gonna say Saravalli. I like the fact that he started Daily Faceoff and went off on his own and did his own thing. Johnston is more of a Sportsnet / GSN guy. So I'm gonna say Saravalli, but it's very, 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 very close. You can't really there's no real wrong answer here.
Anthony,
I'm gonna go Saravalli just because I notice him breaking stuff more. I mean, Chris Johnson does too, but I feel like Saravalli breaks a lot of news where Johnson is maybe just a little bit behind and then kind of just reports, but he's still very good as well. I mean, he moved on to the Athletic about, what was it, a year ago that he's with now, but Both really good, but I think Saravalli edges them out slightly on breaking things more. So that's why I'm going to go Saravalli.
I'm actually going to go Chris Johnston, and it's because I think he's a little bit more grounded than Saravalli. Not saying anything bad about Saravalli. It's just sometimes I disagree with his takes. I find myself agreeing more with Chris Johnston, or at least finding the point in them, I should say, a little bit more. Sometimes with Saravalli, I'm going, wait, what? But both of these guys are great. There's no arguments there. We got a couple. We got 4 other guys we're going to talk about right here, Phil. Anthony really extended the pick'em segment with this one because better insider in your opinion, or maybe favorite if you want to say that. We'll do this one for you, and then actually, you know what, Anthony, we'll do this one for you. You start it. Better insider, Pierre LeBrun or Darren Dreger?
I feel like LeBron, like Dreger, is a little more speculative than LeBrun. I feel like LeBrun reports things when he knows it's for sure, or kind of like, whereas Dreger, not as a rumor mill. I mean, listen, he reports stuff that's fact through, but I feel like sometimes he throws things out there that maybe isn't concrete because he just goes with it. Whereas if LeBrun puts something out there, chances are it's going to happen. Not that I just keep holding him against this, but do you guys remember? I mean, Islander fans certainly do. It was before Ilya Sorokin came over. Darren Dreger reported that the Islanders had traded traded Sorokin's rights to Chicago, and like all Islander fans were having like a heart attack. And then like 20 minutes later, he kind of reported that it was like bad intel. Whereas a guy like, listen, no one's perfect. Everyone's going to get something wrong, but I feel like a guy like LeBron, that's never happened with before. So I will go with. I will say though, Dreger is actually a very nice guy. I talked to him at the draft last year for a little bit. Very very nice. So,
Phil, which one would you go with here?
I mean, Anthony really kind of said everything I could say. I think it's LeBron. No offense to Dreger by any means. I have no problem with him. I do agree that he's definitely more of the guy that he'll speculate and he'll throw his opinion around a little more, and that's fine. And Dreger's been wrong about a couple of things, but I think when you're as active as Dreger is, I think LeBron kind of is a little more reserved. Mm-hmm. And like when he knows like something is absolutely rock solid, he comes out and he says it. Mm-hmm. I think that Dreger's a little more active. You're bound to get more wrong at that point, just because you're throwing yourself out there a little more. So I'll go with LeBron, but again, I don't think any less of Darren Dreger. I still think that there are a lot of times where he breaks stuff, or some of his speculation ends up being true. So, I mean, I'll tell you right now, this is a tough business. It's I saw what just got started, and that's great. I don't know who starred that, but I did. It's a tough business. It really is. Like, I put my name out there on a couple of things, and I've gotten flack for one of them. And I know most people will probably know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But I've gotten a couple of things right, too. And I don't like to throw my name out there unless I know for sure, unless I am like 110% positive. So I see why LeBron and some of the others take the approach that they're taking. And it makes total sense. It's a lot. Because if you end up getting that wrong, or if it's something sensitive matter and you're wrong about it, even if you're right about it, people will be like, oh, what are you doing being the first to report this? Why did you throw this out there? Why you have to be the first one to it, don't you? You have to be the breaker.
That happens, yeah.
It's you can't win sometimes. So I have nothing but respect for all of these guys. And as people who are trying to get into that type of business, I now have a much better perspective as to how hard it is to do this type of work. So I have more of an appreciation for these guys.
I look at both these guys. By the way, once again, we're going to reiterate all these guys we're mentioning, even the next two and even the previous two.
The next two is the heavyweight bout.
We love these guys. They're all fantastic. Darren Dreger seems like, to me, here's the information, look right at the camera, and I'm telling you it's this. That's and Pierre LeBrun seems to be a little bit more light about it. So I think I'm more inclined to go with Pierre LeBrun because it looks like he's having more fun doing it. That doesn't mean either one of these guys are not good.
You know what? There's a lot of times where Pierre LeBrun will come out and say that I believe this, I believe that, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. This is what I think. So let's just establish that right now. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Well, no, that's it for that, and that's where I'm going with LeBrun because it looks like he's having more fun. But again, Dreger seems like his information usually is rock solid. Let's not say he's Larry Brooks throwing out a rumor mill article in the middle of the summer. That's definitely not what we're trying to say. Because Larry Brooks will do that. He'll be like, Larry Brooks has got good point. What the hell is he talking about with this one? So I
think the world of Larry Brooks, but I don't think it's rumor mill. I think sometimes people take his opinion pieces and they take them as rumors, and that's where I think people get crossed up with Brooks. Like, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's got that love affair with Josh Anderson. Like, no, that's just Larry Brooks saying the Rangers need that type of guy. And you know what? For all the shit Larry Brooks took for that and the whole Josh Anderson thing, what do the Rangers need? They need that type of player. Anderson, not somebody who's making almost $6 million and is not productive, but they need a guy who's big, plays physical, and can skate. And look at what they've done. They're getting away from guys who were a part of the previous regime that were softer, that didn't play that type of hockey, or that couldn't play that type of hockey, and they're trying to get to that type of player. So Larry Brooks ended up being right.
Phil, here's the heavyweight one, and I'm going to start it off, guys, and I'm going to have trouble with it. Better insider, Elliot Friedman or Bob McKenzie? And oh, God. You go with Fried or do you go with Bobby Margarita, as he was called at one point? Oh, this is almost like
I'll let you start off, Mark. You go ahead first.
I know. I said I was starting off. I'm still having trouble with it because both these guys are fun, especially. And Elliot Friedman could be here's all the information. Let me give it to you straight, as I was talking about with Darren Dreger. And then he could be just this aloof guy saying, making Vancouver VCR. As I've done.
I wanted to say that.
But I have to go. I got to go Bob McKenzie because Bob McKenzie can give you all the information, throw a couple jokes in there. I think, did he just make a joke recently and just saying, what do I know? I'm just a guy talking about hockey.
He said, what do I know about Marner to Vegas? I'm not an insider anymore or something.
Yeah, I'm an outsider.
I'm an outsider, yeah.
So the short answer is yes on both of them. It's sort of like Bob McKenzie is almost like a more fun version of Peter Gammons. He knows everything, he's connected, and then he'll just throw in even more jokes or something else, and you're laughing with them, but you still get information. So, Phil, who are you taking?
Many people consider Bobby Margarita the greatest of all time.
Yeah, the Bob Father.
The Bob Father, Bobby Margarita. I mean, whatever you want to call him. He's been a huge influence on me. So, no offense to Elliot Friedman, but Bob McKenzie was the guy that, like, before I had access to, like, TSN and, like, their media and everything like that, Bob McKenzie would show up on ESPN.
Yeah.
And when he showed up, like, you knew, like, you were getting, like, the guy. Like, he had the connections. He was the guy. Friedman might be the guy right now. But I think even Friedman himself would say Bobby's the GOAT.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Bobby. I'm glad Bob is still having fun as an outsider, because it's funny watching him say stuff like that. But I do very much enjoy 32 Thoughts.
Yes.
I think that's the place, that's the number one spot that you want to go to if you want like ideas and rumors, if you will, thoughts, I guess we could say. Frank Saravalli's DFO is great too. I obviously we love Johnny Lazarus here and Morning Cup of Hockey and the rundown and everything, but yeah, it's Bob all time. Elliot's the guy right now though, so it's Bob. I'm going Bobby just because he's the all time guy.
Go ahead, you're up.
I mean, Phil said it. Bob McKenzie. I mean, he's what was like when like Twitter and social media really first started to become like mainstream for like breaking news, sports news. Bob McKenzie was the best. I mean, he's similar like Friedman now clears everybody by a wide margin. I feel like McKenzie was like that during his time. He was the best. With that said, Friedman's just by far the best now. Like if you notice something, like Friedman had the Zegras trade well before anybody. He wrote an article for Sportsnet watching Zegras, and an hour later the move happened. And also too, if you notice with Friedman, anytime he says a tweet, like even if it says like, oh, I'm just gonna make something up, like Blue Jackets and Ducks talking about Troy Terry. When he says that, the deal, whatever it is it's done, because 10 minutes later it's reported and it comes out and you know the full details. So when Friedman tweets something, it's certainly happening. But Bob McKenzie is the best in my opinion, the best of all time. I remember the first draft, Philk and I did off the post at the draft. I don't know if Philk was by me at the time, but it was towards the end. Bob McKenzie was leaving, and I was like, I remember like kind of like, fuck it. I'm like going up to him, like I introduced myself. I'm like, you inspire me. And he's like, oh, thanks a lot, and everything. So like that type of influence he had. One quick story about Bob McKenzie that I think any Islander fan that are watching knows this, but as you guys all know, the Islanders never land a big fish. 2019, Artemi Panarin, never forget it. I was sitting outside my backyard. It was on June 30th. It was probably somewhere around like 6-7 o'clock at night. Bob McKenzie wrote, all signs point to Artemi Panarin signing 7-year deal with the Islanders and mentioning Semyon Varlamov too. And I just remember just rejoicing. I'm like, holy shit, Islanders are going to get Panarin. I'm like, this is coming from the best in the business and Bob McKenzie. And then obviously we all know what happens the next morning. But that's literally the one and only time I can remember Bob McKenzie reporting something and that not happening or being wrong. And it figures it's in the case of the New York Islanders. So it's just you can't make it up. It writes itself.
It's so funny because I always look back to that. And there was a guy on Twitter who was a Czech reporter. His name was Adam Papausek or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably butchering it. But he had Panarin to the Rangers a week before July 1st. And when it's funny because when McKenzie came out and said that, Saravalli the day before had Panarin to the Rangers, and everyone was bashing Saravalli, and we all know what happened after that.
Yeah, because he wasn't who he is now back then. In 2019, he wasn't.
No, he was still at TSN back then, and he was still like an up and comer.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy to think about how young he was back then.
Yeah.
I would love to get rumored collected trades and see which ones were going to happen. I know what David Wood's saying right here. I love Steve Dangle. There's a lot of my antics that I have that Steve Dangle has, and as I'm older, so I could say that. But it's Biz on TNT, I just think is fantastic. I think he's absolutely fantastic.
He's like, so TNT is great because you could just see the natural chemistry that those guys have.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like that's my dream job. Like to be with like that crew would be absolutely hilarious because those guys do nothing but chirp each other. They clown on each other all day, and they still give you the information and the great broadcast that you're looking for. Like ESPN, you would like they wish that their broadcast was that.
Which they should have that. I mean,
they should. You're right.
You got Subban, you got Messier, you got two of the better studio hosts that are around. I mean, Liam McHugh's great, don't get me wrong, but I mean, Butchergross and Levy, they could do that. They could do studio hosting in their sleep, both of them, and they're both good play-by-play guys too. So I don't get what's missing at ESPN that TNT has, but TNT does have that it factor.
I like Butchergross in the studio more than I like him in play-by-play. But it's probably, no disrespect to Butchergross, who I think is great with college hockey. I don't think there's anybody better than college hockey than Butchergross. I really don't. But I grew up with Butchergross in the studio. So for me...
And yes, I agree. I grew up with Butchergross in the studio too, Phil. So which one do you guys think is higher on the Ebola list? I can give you the answer in a moment. Anthony, you first. Who's higher on the Ebola list?
For you, it's PLD for sure, I think. I mean, you hate that guy for, I mean, reasons I don't understand, but yeah.
Phil, which one do you think is higher on the Ebola list?
Oh, it's gotta be PLD. It's gotta be Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah, I mean, it's PLD.
Talbot is just I don't know why you go crazy like when his name gets brought up. I just think it's
because you get the Ranger fans to tell you all the time that they should have traded Henrik Lundqvist and Talbot was the guy and they would have done all this with Talbot.
There is an argument.
It's
to
the
it.
fans.
There's the only argument I would say to it is that just like with Shesterkin, you can't give a goalie that's going to be 30 years old a 7 or an 8 year deal and then have him making huge money when he's like 36, 37 years old because you're not going to be able to move him.
Right. And see, this is where I now have backed off a little bit on that, especially with Talbot. I never disliked Cam Talbot.
It's the fans. Yeah, I get it.
Because after all, he's what Alexander Georgiev wishes he could have been. But
yes, that is true.
But the thing is, there's a lot of Ranger fans that the perception is, all right, well, Cam Talbot, he's the greatest thing ever. No, sorry.
I don't think
he hasn't done anything outside the Rangers. And if the Rangers started Cam Talbot in the 2015 playoffs, freshly after signing Henrik Lundqvist, so that's another reason why it was a huge mistake. The Rangers wouldn't have beaten Washington because that was Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, I mean I don't think Talbot would have beaten Washington, but at the same time, the Tampa had Lundqvist's number. They had it all year that year. You look at the numbers that year, and you could see that they had his number. So I mean, and that's one of two series that I'll ever lay a second of blame on Henrik Lundqvist on because he just was not himself in that series. He wasn't.
But again, the games 4 and 5 and 6, you could clearly see he was saving their bacon.
Yes,
PLD has got the reputation that everybody we played with all those guys like PLD guys, the ones that they show up. Look at me, my name is PLD, and I'm the best player on this team. And all the teammates just look at this guy and go, "Get the hell off my team." I've softened a little bit because apparently he found a home in Washington, and he's more than a good teammate there. We'll see about that. But Anthony, how much time do you have? Do you have a quick game, Puckdoku in you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, because I know that's where we all kind of go forward, and then we're gonna do Puckdoku, a couple questions, and then we're gonna have to sign off. So let's go right here, Phil. Go ahead, you can expand that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. I don't have the option to.
Well, you should. You go to the top right corner, and then you'll see like 3 dots. You should.
Oh, okay. No. Oh, full screen layout. There you go. That's
there
what it
you
is.
go.
All right. So we got the Blackhawks up top with Calgary and the Red Wings. And then on the y-axis, you have the Kings, the Maple Leafs, and played for 5 teams. Guys, let's start picking them. Where are you going?
5 teams.
All right, well, let's get our daily Didic in. 5 teams played career for Chicago.
All right.
Sure. I was going to say, yeah, you could do that.
I should probably type in Didic instead
Daily
of
Didic, Mark. You love the
instead
Daily
of Chicago. The Daily Didic.
Calgary played for 5 teams. No, hi. It wasn't there.
Who?
Okay. No, I got one for Kings in Chicago.
Who?
I've got one for Kings and Calgary.
I got Kings in Chicago, Warren Reichel.
Yeah, you could use that there. That's probably a good one.
And no relation to the center, Robert.
It's spelled differently.
And the different nationality.
Kings in Calgary, Corey Millen.
Kings in Calgary, Corey Millen. That is a good one. Former New Jersey Devil.
And New York Ranger.
That's right. Oh, sorry,
and
former New
Dallas
York
Star
Ranger.
too. So he could have fit 5 teams too.
For Toronto and Chicago, I got Wayne Presley.
That's a good one. I would go with that.
I got for the Kings and the Red Wings, I got my other favorite, Constant Crossman.
Oh,
yeah,
Doug
that's a good
Crossman.
one. Yes, yeah, you could use that there.
Okay.
Toronto and Calgary. Did Borshevsky play in Calgary in his last year, or was it just Dallas? Because I think Borshevsky played.
Nikolai Borshevsky.
No, yeah, Nikolai Borshevsky played both Calgary and Toronto.
You're correct. I like Nikolai Borshevsky. Let's go with that one.
You know, it's funny.
0.2%.
DP here saying McGinnis. I don't know which one he's referencing, but
that's Marty McInnes.
Yeah,
and Mac Innes is Al, and that's MAC.
Yeah, I think you can actually. I think you can do Marty McGinnis for Calgary.
Calgary and 5 teams. Yes, you can, because it's
got
Boston, Calgary, Anaheim, Islanders, and
no, he only played for 4 guys.
Oh wow! I thought he had.
So I just named all 4. Wow.
Yeah, Islanders, Calgary, Anaheim, Boston.
Oh, he did mean Al anyway. But yeah, all right. Well, I can't.
You meant no. Al never played for Toronto, and he never played for 5 teams.
Yeah, Al only played for 3 teams, right?
St. Louis and Calgary.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Detroit and Toronto. Sean Burr didn't play for Toronto, did he? I know he played for San Jose and Detroit.
And Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he never played for.
I think for Calgary, 5 teams played. I think you could do former Ranger and Islander Josh Green. Played for the Kings, the Flames, Islanders.
Josh Green would be a good one. I think Andreas Johansson. Does Andreas Johansson also fit that?
He might. Which one we're doing? Josh Green over here?
Either or is probably fine, but Andreas, yeah, Johansson was the Flames, Islanders, Rangers.
Yeah, Andreas Johansson does fit it.
All right. Oh wait, Andreas Johansson.
I think they're both going to be like.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, Josh Green or Andreas Johansson.
All right, we're gonna go with Josh Green just because he was said first. I got one for the 5-team guy. Josh Green does not fit it, guys.
You put it. That's because you're on Detroit. Detroit.
Come on, Mark.
Okay, let me fix all this.
Reichel, Millen, Crossman, Presley, Borshevsky, Didic.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody watching this right now. Somebody want to get the somebody
Millen.
You want to get the GIF
Oh,
up?
no, that's Presley. That's Presley.
Mark messed up.
Oh no, Mark messed up.
Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be too obvious. We're not trying to do the obvious.
Over here, I got Paul Eisebart.
That's Corey Millen.
Crossman,
yeah.
Okay,
That
this one was
Borshevsky.
Borshevsky.
Yeah, Borshevsky. BORSCH.
There it is. Okay, so yeah, Paul Eisebart.
For what? 5 teams in Detroit? Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be a good one.
0.2%. So we got this one is Josh Green.
yeah,
Yeah, that's Josh Green.
You put a yeah.
And we got one left. Toronto and Detroit. I wonder how many people are saying was Terry Sawchuk played for both?
I think he did, but that's going to be too obvious.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people don't think about those guys that are old, like Gump Worsley.
Yeah, but Terry Sawchuk is an all-timer, Mark.
That is true.
It's like
well, Glenn Hall would be another one.
Again, that's an all-timer.
Did Matthew Dandino play for Toronto?
No, I don't think so. No, Bill Berg didn't play for Detroit.
Bill Burr didn't play for anywhere. Sean Burr.
No, I said Bill Berg.
Oh, Bill Berg.
Former Ranger.
Yeah, Bill
I
Berg.
knew he was
Who,
Toronto, but I didn't think he was Detroit.
Bill Berg, who he was a victim of a slew foot years ago.
Oh, I have one. I'm not sure of what he's going to be percentage-wise, but Jamie McCown.
Jamie McCown's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, do it.
All right, let's do that.
He might be like a 1 or 2%.
Yeah, because we're gonna go do the
pyramid.
Yeah.
No, Jamie. Is that how you have it spelled? I can't see it.
JMIE. Yeah. How do
All
I
right,
spell?
MAC.
McCown. There it is. Got to remember him. We got a 0, guys.
0. Okay, good.
This is what happens when you put them all in the right spot.
Oh,
Jamie
because
McCown
he was
was
1.0. Wow.
Just got to a 1%.
Wow. That's the only reason why, because he wasn't a 1.1. He was a 1.0 flat.
And yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi was the high one. Ken Reggett was one of the ones we should have been thinking of, guys. Or Carlo Koliakovo.
I was thinking Mike Foligno, but I knew that one, but I thought it would be higher.
Ian
I really
Slater.
thought Mike
Thomas.
Foligno would be higher.
Another one of Anthony's
Thomas
favorites.
played in Detroit in 04. One
He's
season.
like-
that's why.
yeah.
Richard Panic.
Panic.
Peter Ing. David
Brad
Booth.
Marsh. Wow. Corey Cross. Wow, that
Corey
was a good
Cross.
one, too.
David Booth, the speedster from Florida, who just concussions derailed his career. Here's one for us, Phil. Andy Bathgate.
Oh, man. Dmitry Miranov. That's one we should have used, too.
And, of course,
Ron
also,
Lowe, former Ranger coach. Oh, my God.
All right, let's go to the pyramid, boys. Let's do that one. We started with drafted the first round, 500 career games played, 30 goal season, then
Any
Buffalo
team.
Sabre, WHL, and then the Florida Panther. Obviously, they're trying
This looks
to
like Sam Reinhart.
Yeah, it's definitely.
yeah, they're trying to say
Sam
Sam Reinhart. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, drafted in the first round. I'll take this one. We'll go Christian Dubé of the New York Rangers.
Okay.
Okay, just making sure there's no objections.
Was he a first rounder?
Thought he was. How about this?
No, he wasn't. He was a second round pick in
Yeah,
95.
How about this? Good. We'll go Dave Shazowski of the New York Islanders.
All right.
Okay, even better.
So
That's one of
500,
the Islander picks they kind of wish they had back.
500 games played and a first round pick. Let's see.
Zach Parise.
No, it'll be too.
That'd be
Probably too. Well, I mean, there's so many guys you could use. So
No, I wouldn't even use a guy like you could use a guy like Parise for the next one.
Yeah, the 30 goal season.
500 games played, first round pick.
I was hoping Jeff Tambellini would be in there.
Hey, what's a
How about Aki Berg?
Aki Berg definitely played 500 games. I don't
He
even
did.
need to look. Yes,
I know
he did.
because he played for a while.
And he was
Between
third
LA,
overall.
Toronto. Like he was playing in the mid 90s and then or the late 90s and then
Aki Berg. All right, now we need a first rounder, 500 games played, 30 goal season with any team.
30 goal season with any team.
Any team.
500 games played and a first round pick.
And a 30 goal season. I have a guy I think that we could use for the next. All right. So the pyramid goes from WHL then to Buffalo, right?
Yes.
No, Buffalo first. Buffalo and then WHL.
It goes Buffalo first?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I got one for Buffalo.
I had a guy that
you could use Pierre Turgeon for that Buffalo one. You can use.
I think that's going to be too obvious. I think that'll.
There's a couple of them.
I got a guy that could fit 30 goal season though. Damon Langkow.
Damon Langkow, good one. Did he get his 50 goal season with Arizona or was it Philadelphia?
It was Arizona that he had the 30 goal season with.
Damon Langkow, there he is right there. Now the
Oh
Buffalo
no, sorry, it was Calgary.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he had a nice resurgence after the lockout with Calgary.
You know, you could use Brad Boyes there.
Really? Brad Boyes would go right here.
He played for Buffalo. He had 30 goals. Well, 500 games for. Hold on. I think.
By the way, Brad Boyes is the guy that I always look at and say Cy Young numbers.
I think
he's got 882 games. Anthony,
yeah,
so
Brad Boyes definitely. Yeah, because he was around for a while.
Yeah, because the guys that I had, we mentioned Turgeon, Andrew Chuck,
Brad Boyes is definitely a good one. You could use that there.
Yeah. All right. Still, you think this is zeros? WHL.
Okay, so it's a first rounder that's played 500 games, had a 30 goal season, and has played for the Sabres.
Yeah.
Tony McKegney wasn't a first rounder, was he? No,
That's
he was a second rounder. Shit. Because he fits that. Fuck.
What about Jason Pominville?
Ooh, Jason Pominville's a good one.
No, but he wasn't a first round pick, I don't think. I don't think he was a first round pick. I think he was like a second or a third.
55th overall, second rounder.
Yeah, second round pick in 2001. Yeah, I was about to say I thought so. 500 games, Sabres.
Hold on. I think I might have somebody. I just got to see if he fits WHA.
Probably don't.
WHL, not WHA.
WHL, I'm sorry. I got it. Tri-City Americans. He had where's his 30-goal season? He had 30-goal season with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I always associate him with the Buffalo Sabres.
Wait. Are you about to say Bob Airy or Randy Cunningworth?
Stu Barnes.
Oh.
He went 4th overall in the 89 draft. So it's funny.
Yeah, Stu Barnes is a good one, Mark. That's a good one. I like
Love to be some Stu Barnes.
How do you know Stu Barnes played in WHL for a guy who doesn't know junior hockey that well? Reeks to me of looking it up. You cheating son of a...
I didn't look it up. I double checked.
What? Stu Barnes took us to an original uniqueness of 3. I wonder if there were any other guys that could have fit that bill.
I can't imagine there's other guys that fit that. Okay, so are we just going Sam Reinhart now?
Yeah, it's definitely
gotta be. It's the only one I think that fits.
All right, let's see what curveball they threw at us.
Uniqueness 83. What the fuck? Stu Barnes
would have fit
because he played for Florida in the mid 90s. That's right. Fuck.
Well, yeah, because he went to the Stanley Cup Finals with them.
In
Clark
96.
Gillies.
Oh, Clark Gillies.
Clark Gillies would have
Oh
been
my
the lower
God, are
one.
you kidding me? Oh, I forgot he played at Buffalo in the end of his career.
I mean, everybody else.
Adam
in the
Creighton. Oh God, Creighton.
But yes, wow, Stu Barnes. So how about that one, guys? Let's get us back over here. So yeah, if we would have flipped that around, I mean, wow. I didn't even, you know what? That's the thing. I don't even think about stuff like that. Completely forgetting it. Stu Barnes would have fit the top. If you flip that around, you got the awesome score. So,
man.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, poor me all the time. Holy shnikes. Well, part of it has to do with if anybody knows enforcers of the 1990s, it's this guy down here. And I always got my information from NHL, from EA Sports. So, all right, guys, we've been going at it hard for 3 hours. Anthony, do we have a definitive time yet for Friday's show?
No, I reached. I texted Hickey before, but he hasn't responded yet. So just gotta wait and see what he says.
All right. For the draft, are we going on half an hour or an hour early?
I mean, I guess I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I suppose, right? Well,
yeah. I mean,
maybe dictate what the action is. I mean, obviously,
if we get guys, if there's gonna be a lot of action, a lot of trades, we're coming on at 6. If there's not, we might be on at 6:30. There is gonna be so much coverage for the next. This is sort of like our Christmas a little bit. We always talk about trade deadline, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Trade deadline is great, but I mean, this you have Hall of Fame, you had the draft coming up, so we got the mock draft. We got to get familiar with the junior players. We're still getting trades that coming in, and then July 1st is right around the corner. That's Tuesday, so
yeah, sure. I mean, it depends on again what's really going. If there's a chance of things happening, there's a lot of factors that come into play. So we'll see what's going on. We kind of have to play it by ear in that regard.
Yeah, and we also I gotta get a compilation of some of our reactions the last few years. Because I know that we had the Alexander Romanov trade that happened.
Up for me, I know it.
You had what?
That Brennan Offman one for me is constantly.
Oh yeah, that one.
The Romanov trade happened when we were on.
Yeah, we were all stunned at Leo Carlson going second because we all thought Adam Fantilli.
Yeah,
that one comes to mind. Last year, Anthony and I were at the draft, and what's going to be coming up for that is Beckett Seneca, because I don't think anything topped that reaction. No. But also, just if you could have seen our group chat as we're watching Cole Eiserman slowly fall to the Islanders, that was a good one. So what's going to be that moment this year? Are the Islanders going to be getting that? As Todd's saying, back in my day, was hockey cards and newspapers. And hockey news was a treat. Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying supposedly that Drury isn't getting the offers that he was looking for. We'll see, though. I mean, it's all right. I'll tell you this: negotiations are a back and forth. It's a game of cat and mouse, and sometimes all it takes is one GM to come in and just give the GM that's got the player what they're looking for, and then it happens. You know?
It's going to be just.
I just can't wait for the damn heat to freaking cool down here. After today, it's thank God it goes back down into like a tolerable temperature.
I gotta say, 12 to 15 teams are in on Miller. I'm surprised that number isn't even higher. There's definitely a more GMs that are sitting there licking their chops going, I can turn this guy into something great.
I think if Dobson is indeed traded, I think teams that maybe don't get Dobson will try harder to get Keandre Miller if he's traded beforehand.
Yeah. I think Noah Dobson staying is probably the best thing that could happen for the Rangers.
Yes.
Actually, I mean that could work both ways. The teams that miss out on him will pivot to Miller.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I mean, really, the only thing that would suck is that if it goes on for a while, like a long time. So like, I would imagine Chris Drury wants that deal to happen sooner than later.
Anthony, I'm trying to remember how many trades were in the first round last year. Was it like
0
in the first round last year?
Yeah.
Oh, the Flyers traded out. The Flyers traded with Minnesota. I know that.
No, I'm talking about trading of a first round pick. I'm not talking about just swapping picks.
Okay, but the Flyers ended up trading. Edmonton traded back into the first round. I remember that one. I think Chicago was another one.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that there haven't been like the last couple of years. There haven't been any trades like on the actual draft floor where a team trades a roster player for a first round pick.
Okay, yeah, except for the Romanov trade.
Well,
that was probably the last one.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yeah, most of them been for futures. So it's a little bit hard to say on that one.
Now,
I remember that year there was abundance of trades, and I made the rule in the drinking game. Sorry guys, I'm not going to be doing it this year. You got to take a shot every time there was a trade. I was boxed.
You should do it again.
No, I'm trying to live a healthier life now. I know everybody loved Drunk Mark, but
I do. I love Drunk Mark. It needs to happen more. I think it was a week or two ago in Bar Talk topic we had Paterka will be a Ranger, and I think we actually all said Round. Do we all still believe that, or have you changed your?
I believe Chris Drury is going to make sure that happens.
I can still see it. I mean, I don't know if like what percentage I'd put on it, but I still think it can happen.
Yeah, and technically speaking, Drunk Mark isn't retired. He's just on the bench for a long time. I just, it's I got a lot more to live for now. So
yeah, that's true. It doesn't mean you still can't tip the bottle and have some fun.
No, it doesn't mean that. But let's live a healthier life. And one thing I gotta do is streamline everything here so I can get to work out more.
That's good.
Get back to the gym.
Now, when do you see the dam breaking? I mean, Evander came to the Canucks today. It wasn't a huge trade, obviously the only one. But when do you think the dam breaks? Do you think it's tomorrow? Do you think it's Friday, draft day?
Anthony, it's a simple answer. It's a very simple answer. I have a tea time tomorrow, probably around 8:30. So it's going to happen at 9:00. And then you're going to text me, Mark, when are we going on? I'm on hole 2, Anthony. Yeah. And it's going to be, come on, we got to get street. Because it's the way everything went, whether or not it was stuff that was fun like that, where I'm having a tea time, or when I had to fly out to Arizona when my dad passed, which was which was last year when I had to go, and last year when me and you got stuck in the air in Vegas for one more day, and we were trying to fly back, and you guys should have seen the look on Anthony's face when they rescheduled our flights, and I'm going, what do you mean it's not tonight?
I was laughing my ass off. I legitimately thought you were gonna fall down, or like you were gonna have you were just gonna have some sort of nervous breakdown. You were in interesting form.
Yeah, I was definitely, because never mind not getting home to my beautiful wife, who, actually at the time fiance, but Anthony, knowing that we were going to miss the stream, I was beside myself.
You are.
So the free agent stream, which is one of our 3 biggest streams of the year. So us having the draft, huge, and we're still trying to streamline all that and get.
Yeah, I mean, if it does happen, we'll try to get on. I mean, it also depends on like where we're at. Like if we're in the middle of something, or if we're out,
or if we just finish. Like if something broke right now.
Yeah, all right. So if it broke 5 minutes later that Keandre Miller's traded, okay. Like, I mean, at least one or two of us will probably be on at that point.
Yeah.
But it's.
But yeah, that's the way it always works, and that's where I almost have to start carrying my my AirPods on me, so I can just put it in my ear, and then I can at least talk while we do all this. But no, this is a great week. Very intrigued about it's Tuesday. Tuesday is the free agent period. So I wonder what's going to go on with that. There's not a big market. So
yeah, but it's still July 1st. It's still going to be tons of signings and stuff.
And trades.
Yeah. Well,
and trades. And
I think the trades intrigue me more.
I think the trade's going to mean a lot more this year because Edmonton has to clear up salary cap. A lot of teams have to clear up salary. Dallas has got to clear up a lot of salary. And I'm interested in that. And like the number one thing that's going to dominate the summer, guys, we're going to be talking about him a lot. There's going to be a lot of topics we're going to talk about with Connor McDavid, for instance, comparing him to LeBron James at one point. What they're going to do during the summer. But he's going to dominate everything because if he's unsigned by the time the season starts, that's a big red flag. I think it's going to get done. I think it's going to get done in September. So we will see about that. And here's the other question. Phil, is Alexei Lafreniere a New York Ranger when the Tuesday's done?
Mean, from what has been said, there's not been a lot of traction on him. And it seems to be like that the word is that they believe in him. So I don't know.
Steven said it best also that if they're going to trade him, it's going to have to be after July 1st. Because
true too.
Yeah, the Rangers are going to pay him the bonus money, and then it's cheaper for the team to do it because they all know what the AAV is in there. All right, guys, we're going to start the music right now to say bye-bye. So let's see what we got. Yeah, we're still live. And yes, you can do marathon streams. I've seen you do it with Phil sometimes. You know who does marathon streams when it's Phil? It's him and Steven. Those two, you guys went like 6 hours on a July 1st one year. Or me and Anthony, we did 4 hours, got off. I took a nap, and then we woke up. That was Johnny Gaudreau day. So, could you imagine, Phil, if Connor McDavid does hit the open market? Would he be the biggest free agent of all time in any sport?
Pretty much.
I mean, I could think of Barry Bonds.
He's bigger than Alex Rodriguez.
Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, football, Reggie White.
Yeah, I don't think Reggie White compares in terms of, yes, everybody, talks about, how great of a player he was, and he was, absolutely was, but I don't think he was generational in the sense that McDavid is. I think McDavid has a chance to go down as a top 5 player of all time. I don't think Reggie White was a top 5 player of all time.
I still think he's got work to do. I know everybody wants to get on me for that, but I still think he's got work to do. And it's unfair to compare errors, and it's unfair to compare individual achievements as opposed to, say, team achievements, because I do constantly say Mark Messier is number 5 for me. And I still put Sidney Crosby at 6.
I have to put Crosby ahead of Messier now.
Yeah, well, I'm okay with that too. You still have to figure out where Maurice Richard lands. You still have to figure out where Yager lands.
So the problem is that Messier's career post New York drags him down. Post New York stint 1 drags him down. like Vancouver and afterwards. Like, because he wasn't the same player. All right, so 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. Like, there were 7 seasons where he was just not anywhere close to an elite player.
Right.
Sidney Crosby just broke Wayne Gretzky's record for most consecutive point per game seasons with 20.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, and they have the same amount of MVPs, which is 2 for Crosby. I mean, I have the things up. Okay, so 2010 Olympic gold, World Cup of Hockey gold, 4 Nations winner, 3-time Cup winner, two Conn Smythes, which is one more than Messier. The only guy who has more Conn Smythes than Crosby is Waugh with 3. 2 Rocket Richards, which Messier never won a goal scoring title, only 150 goal season. 3 Pearsons, 2 Harts, which is the same as Messier, 8-time first team All-Star, 100th anniversary team, and he's the 14th player in history to record 1,000 assists. So I know Messier was one of those guys, but it's just still.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there was an Instagram post that put him out of the top 20, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I think the hardest thing to do whenever you do an all-time list, and we might do an all-time list soon. Speaking about which, we should have a list of Bilk saying the number 1 draft picks of all time. That should be coming up soon.
Crosby's also a triple gold guy, and Messier isn't, and that's another thing. Messier has 2 Pearsons as opposed to Crosby's 3. I mean, I think Crosby's going to pass Messier in points, dude. I think he's going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, but again, that's where I think McDavid's got a lot to do to catch up to Crosby. Because McDavid's Malkin is Draisaitl. And you could argue Draisaitl being better than Malkin. I know that might be heresy to say. I could also argue Marc-Andre Fleury is akin to Stuart Skinner. So
I think I would go with Draisaitl ahead of Anthony Breaking, Riley Smith re-signing with Vegas per Elliott Friedman.
Which, by the way, Anthony predicted in his, if you guys haven't seen him on Instagram, Anthony did predict that Riley Smith was staying. There's a lot of guys that are staying.
Anthony's got one under his belt. Good job, Tony.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it's great that we have 419 of you guys watching right now, but we're going to sign off here, guys. It's we got a lot more coverage. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. Hope you guys are all pumped for we're going to have a ton of it. We're going to, like I said, we got Tom Hickey coming on. Yeah, I think I blanked because my roommate's name was Ken Hickey. So it's just too many thoughts that go through my head sometimes. Thank you, Matt, as always, guys. And keep recommending us. Well, not a trade, but yeah, always news breaks. Always. This is why it's great that I have a supportive wife that's like, nope, you got to go do your job. Like, all right. All right, guys. Everybody, thank you very much. We're going to see you very soon. And this will be on replay on Instagram in about a few minutes. Talk to you later.